But until further notice, he is every bit the great Mike Trout. And that's not to say that hyperbole is dished out often in this booth. What he has done over the first 2 years of his career has basically been historic. Right-hand batter, the first pitch to him, a fastball down the middle for a called strike one.
I agree with your tacit implication that the use of the word great is probably a little bit too much these days, but, I mean, this guy is great. He is arguably the top player in the sport, jockeying with Miguel Cabrera for that honor.
Breaking ball outside to Trout, 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, the Angels are so happy with him that they gave him a 6-year contract extension on March 28th, and that'll keep him with the Angels until at least 2020. 1-1 pitch, fastball hit deep to left center. Young over to the gap with Lagares near the wall. Gone! A home run for Mike Trout. His 3rd home run of the year. And just like that, the Angels have tied the game 1-1. And make no mistake, this kid is great.
And maybe, believe it or not, a bargain at $144 million over 6 years. He hit it into the rock pile out there in left center field. Just as the coaster train is going by it, out beyond all those rocks that they put out there about 10, 12 years ago. That's a very impressive home run.
So that ties the game at 1, and now Albert Pujols, who's homered in his last 2 games, right-hand batter, first ball swinging. It's a fastball up to shallow right. In comes Granderson under it, and Curtis makes the catch, 2 men away.
And Curtis lost one in the twilight last night, and it's that time of night here in Anaheim right now. And there's also the billowing smoke from the fireworks that they just shot off from beyond that rock pile after the home run banked its way in there. So through the haze and through the twilight, Curtis Granderson got it done.
So 2 men away, and Raul Ibanez coming up. Ibanez with the Angels after hitting 29 home runs last year with the Seattle Mariners. Ibanez 2 hits away from 2,000 in his career. And the first pitch on the way to the left-hand batter, a fastball for a called strike, 0-1. We'll read you some of the things that Mike Trout has accomplished over his first couple of years as we move along tonight. Infield overshifts against Ibanez, and a fastball to the knees for a called strike, 0-2. In fact, even Raul Ibanez did a little something historic last year when he hit 29 homers. 41 or older, tying Ted Williams. The 0-2 on the way, pop foul into the seats, slicing into about the 10th row down the left field line and out of play. 29 home runs that Ibanez hit tied him with Ted Williams, who did it in 1960, his final year for the most hit by a player age 41 or older in a single season. And frankly, this guy looked done about 3 years ago with the Phillies. The 0-2 pitch, fastball high, 1-2.
And now here he is with just 2 more hits to go before he gets to 2,000 in his career. And this guy didn't really even start playing every day until he was 27 or 28.
3 infielders on the right side against him. Daniel Murphy about 20 feet out in right field. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss at the changeup. He struck him out, side retired. Well, the Angels tie it, a run on a hit. A homer by Trout. 4th homer given up in 15 innings by Dylan G. Nobody left near the end of 1. We're tied 1-1 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealer. Major League Baseball, People Magazine, and Target are looking for outstanding teachers in your community as Trout plays it back in. And, well, Juan Lagares keeps on swinging the bat. Had a big hit last night, which drove in what proved to be the winning run in the 7th inning. And now with his 2-out single here in the 2nd, he has hits in 9 of the 10 games the Mets have played.
Leading the team in runs batted in as well with a half a dozen of those. And again, you wind the clock back to spring training. The question was, could he hit even a little to justify playing him every day or even close to every day as the great outfielder that he is?
Chris Young played in another extended game today. He's doing fine. He's off to Las Vegas and should be active with the Mets when they get home next weekend. Play the Braves. There's another Southern California now. Travis d'Arnaud in this 1-1 game with 2 out in the 2nd. First pitch. That's a fastball on the inside corner of the knees. A called strike. It's 0-1.
Bit of a pass list here for Travis, too. Lakewood, California is his hometown, right outside of Long Beach. Take the 405 to the 5.
It's fun to say that because it makes you feel like, well, boy, you're in the know here. You're
I know.
cool.
I'm very hip.
throw over. And backstanding is Lagares. I guess it can be a little on the confusing side, but you get used to it if you live out here.
Well,
and how about whatever road it was that we were taking to the ballpark today? I mean, they've got, and this is Anaheim now. We're not in Los Angeles per se. 6 lanes and wasn't going anywhere. Then again, there was an accident now that I think of it. Lagares running. They've got him picked off. Pujols throws to second. Kendrick tags out Lagares. Side retired. So the lefty Skaggs, known for holding runners well, sniffed out what Lagares was up to, and 1-3-6 on the caught stealing. Side retired. No runs a hit, nobody left. Middle of the second, 1-1 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealer.
Registration statistics 1988 through 2012 for Civic and competing models. See dealer for financing details.
Mets baseball is brought to you by RE/MAX. Is your real estate agent only showing you the listings they want you to see?
yes, and I hate that.
Yeah, don't you? Yeah, annoying. Well, one way to avoid that is to visit RE/MAX.com now. See all the listings in New York State. Nobody in the world sells more real estate than RE/MAX. So here's David Freese, the former Cardinal, to lead off the bottom of the second in a 1-1 game. Dylan G's first pitch is a fastball that sails outside for ball 1. Freese was acquired for the outfielder Peter Borges. Off to a slow start, hitting 179 with a homer and 3 RBIs. 1-0 pitch. Taken on the outside corner, 1-1. In fact, earlier in the week, Freese went back-to-back. No abdomens were involved, as far as we know, with Albert Pujols. And, of course, that's something they did when they were Cardinals teammates. The 1-1, a bouncing ball to third, charged by right. He fields it near the bag, throws off balance. Stanton's got to come off the bag and tag the runner Freese for the out. 1 man away.
Both of the third basemen in this series are Davids. One just hit to the other. And David Freese, you're right, Howie, he's got to get it going here. Big things expected of him. Nothing happening yet.
Before Howie Kendrick will pause. Station ID on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
This is Kristen Marks, WOR New York.
Fastball to Howie Kendrick is high for ball 1. Mets and the Angels tied 1-1 with 1 out, nobody on here in the last of the second. Howie Rose along with Josh Lewin. And the 1-0 lifted in the air pretty deep to right. Granderson back with Lagares. Lagares at the wall. It's off the top of the wall. Lagares plays the carom. Kendrick digging for second. He's in standing with a double. That's pretty good power the other way by Howie Kendrick. Now in his 9th season with the Angels, and they have a runner in scoring position with 1 man out.
That's one of the adjustments to this stadium we were talking about earlier, Howie. Back about 20 years ago, that was an 8-foot-high wall, and that would have been gone. It's now an 18-foot-high wall, and that's a double.
Yeah, where he hit it basically went off of a secondary wall that is above the traditional 8-foot-high wall, which starts at the edge, the beginning edge of the Angels bullpen in left field and stretches out just past dead center. So here's left-hand hitting J.B. Shuck, the left fielder. And the first pitch, fastball of the knee, strike 1 called. Shuck just called up yesterday because of the injury to Josh Hamilton, who we understand earlier today underwent surgery to repair the torn ligament in his thumb, and that'll cost him 6 to 8 weeks, they're saying. Kendrick leading from second, time called now. Shuck has also been with the Houston Astros at .293 with the Angels last year out of Ohio State University. The shortstop Tejada keeping very close tabs on the runner Kendrick at second, right off the line at third. And the 0-1 pitch, fastball outside, 1-1. That's baseball is presented by H2O Wireless. Check out H2OWirelessNow.com to find an amazing unlimited wireless plan that works for you. Angels haven't hit for much of an average, but they are third in the league in runs. Tonight's run coming on a homer. And the 1-1 slowly hit up the first base line. G off the mound, fields it, lunges, and tags Shuck for the out. And down to third goes Kendrick, 2 men away. And Dylan G had a lot to calculate there and determined that the best chance he had, rather than to turn his body, which was moving directly towards the first base line, and try to flip the ball to Satin right into a fast-moving runner, was to just reach for him, and G calculated properly for the second out.
In the meantime, Daniel Murphy, who's famous for pointing out fly balls, was very demonstratively pointing at third base, reminding Dylan G, don't take a breath because that guy can round and score.
That guy is Howie Kendrick, who's now 90 feet away with 2 men out. And Chris Iannetta, the catcher, who is 0 for his last 15, batting .080 on the year, just 2 hits.
So that's not good?
No. First pitch, fastball high, 1-0. That'd be 2 hits and 25 at-bats.
Yeah, that's not too good.
You can't spin that in any manner to make it seem good. Iannetta's been around, though. He's been with the Colorado Rockies. This is his 3rd season with the Angels. G sets the 1-0 pitch. Fastball in for a called strike. It's 1-1. Iannetta from Providence, Rhode Island. And played at the University of North Carolina. 1-1 game with 2 out here in the last of the 2nd inning. Just the slightest of breezes right now. Nothing that'll affect the ball hit in the air. The 1-1 taken upstairs. A changeup in the count 2-1. Same side change there from the right-hand pitcher Dylan G to the right-hand hitting Chris Iannetta with a switch hitter Eric Ibar on deck. So now G comes to the belt. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a ground ball up the middle. That's going to find its way through into center field for a base hit. And the Angels take the lead. Kendrick scores from third, holding at first with a single and a run batted in, Chris Iannetta. So he breaks an 0 for 15 streak, and the Angels now lead it 2-1.
He seemed to almost giggle as he got to first base because that ball did not exactly just go rifling off the bat. But that breaks an 0 for 15, and that is his 3rd RBI of the year. You take those hits any way you can get them when you're 2 for, what was it, 25 for the season.
Probably frost Dylan G's flakes a little bit there. A struggling number 8 hitter. But, of course, in this league, 9 position players hit with the designated hitter tonight. Here's the shortstop, Eric Ibar. Batting left-handed, takes outside for ball 1, a changeup. Ibar missed the Angels' last game on Wednesday in Seattle. He had some dental work done and just wasn't able to play because of the pain. David Wright shortens up at third. He's on the edge of the grass. And now G's 1-0. Swing and a miss at that changeup again. Good pitch by G to pull the string and the count 1-1.
Good use of the scouting report, too. Ibar has always been a sucker for a good changeup. He's been at this now for 7 going on 8 years as an Angel. He's moved all around the infield, but has found a home now for them at short.
He's kind of been inconsistent. He had a terrific first couple of years. Then his average started to drop. Picked it back up recently. The 1-1 fastball high 2-1. Last year, he played for the Dominican Republic in the World Baseball Classic. Of course, they were the team that won the tournament. 2-1 Angels, each team with 3 hits. 2 out here in the last of the 2nd. Iannetta, not a fast runner, held on at first by Satin. And the 2-1 pitch. That's at the knees, a fastball, a called strike, and it's 2-2. Well, they draw very well here in Anaheim. This does not look like it's going to be a sellout. There are still some patches of empty seats out in the outfield upstairs, but it looks like they've got 40,000 plus here tonight or somewhere in that vicinity.
Not easy to navigate that Friday traffic.
2-2 pitch. Breaking ball pulled on the ground to second. Murphy waits on it. He's got it. Throws to first in time. Side retired. Angels take the lead with a run on 2 hits. No errors. And 1 man left at the end of 2. It's the Angels 2, the Mets 1 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Needs Mutual of America, your retirement company.
The New York State Smokers Quit.
WOR.
Josh Lewin with Howie Rose in Anaheim. And Wendy's new salads are irresistible with flavors like barbecue ranch chicken featuring fire roasted corn and applewood smoked bacon, or the new under 400 calorie Asian cashew chicken with roasted edamame. We're in the 2nd level of this 3-tiered stadium, coming to you tonight from here in Anaheim, California. Our broadcast booth is tilted just a bit towards third base behind home plate. Sandy Alderson in his booth to our left, and to the left of him, all the Mets beat writers are all cloistered together, nice and cozy. What used to be the main press box, well, they've sold that. Those are now luxury suites, so the fourth estate is 2 booths down. Travis d'Arnaud coming home and swings right away. Drives it to left center. Got a shot to go. He's hit it out. Travis d'Arnaud has tied the game 2-2. And what a thrill for Travis in so many ways. This is a guy who grew up just up the 5. And he takes that ball to left center field to tie this game 2-2. About 20 friends and family here to watch him tonight. Gets a hero's welcome back in that dugout. First home run in 110 at-bats going back to last year for Travis. And Skaggs left one up. Got a young hitter against a young pitcher, and the young hitter prevails. A 2-2 game in the 3rd inning. And d'Arnaud hitting that one pretty close to where Mike Trout hit his. So now Ruben Tejada with the bases clear, and he'll take Athanaze for strike 1. Travis's dad is a fascinating guy. His name is Lance d'Arnaud. He owns a very cool 1998 Sinister Blue Harley-Davidson Road King motorcycle. Here's the 0-1 pitch on the way. Tejada swings and misses, 0-2. And when Lance d'Arnaud chose the license plate back when his kids were in Little League, he picked the prophetic words to put on that license plate, the Bigs. And both kids made it to the big leagues. Dad said subliminally, maybe it had an impact. 0-2 curve missing inside 1-2. Like, hey, maybe Dad has these big dreams about us. So Lance d'Arnaud says I didn't force anything on him, but it was kind of a subliminal message that if you guys want to work at this, anything can happen. You could be major leaguers, and they both become that. Chase d'Arnaud of the Pirates, Travis d'Arnaud of the Mets. Full windup from Skaggs on the 1-2 pitch. He is inside 2-2. Those two d'Arnaud brothers grew up pitching to each other in a long driveway, and if you didn't take the ball straight up the middle, you'd drill the house and blast out the windows. Even a tennis ball would smash the windows, say both the brothers, so it was up the middle or get in trouble. 2-2 delivery. Tejada swings and misses. Down he goes. 93-mile-an-hour fastball moving to the outside corner. Now the Mets have had some issues striking out early in the season, as you might know. That's 2 tonight for Skaggs. And back to the top of the order now, Eric Young Jr. So we mentioned that Eric has been implored to do a couple of things by Terry Collins. One is to simply try and hit more line drives. Don't take big swings. Just hit the ball and let some natural compact power that Eric Young Jr. has do some work there. The other thing Terry has told him repeatedly is, don't be afraid to drop down a bunt. With your speed, that's a base hit waiting to happen. The pitch is a fastball high 1-0. And Terry says that was reinforced by Wally Backman, who, of course, is a AAA manager for the Mets at Las Vegas, but he's around all during spring training. And Wally took EY aside and said, hey, there was a year where I had 25 bunt hits, and I hit about 315 that year. 1-0 is tapped toward short, charging in Ibar, scoops it, throws on the run, 2 down. And for what it's worth, EY does have one bunt hit already this year. He's attempted 3 of them. So at least that's in his mind. There's something to do a little more often. Daniel Murphy coming up in a 2-2 game. And Met fans, if you're suffering from joint pain and want an alternative to surgery, call the Ash Center for Comprehensive Medicine at 212-758-3200. Or you can go to ashcenter.com. It's ashcenter.com. Outfield giving Murphy some real estate in right center. Pitch comes from Skaggs, swing, and it's looped in the air down the third base line. Giving it a look is Freeze, but it's back amongst that sea of red paid customers. All the red shirts here. And David Freeze, no matter where he plays, I guess, that's what he looks around and sees in a home game. All those years playing for the Cardinals. When they take you out back if you don't show up wearing red. And the Angels have a similar dynamic here. We are awash in that color here tonight. Murphy singled in the first inning. Looks at a big curve that rolls to the outside corner for a strike, 0-2. Mets already with 4 hits tonight. They have yet to have a game where they've had as many as 10. But they are trending that way tonight in this game, all tied. 0-2 pitch. Another curve is peeled away foul to the crowd, third base side. Those are expensive seats down there, right behind that Angels dugout. The most expensive seat, Scott Boras owns that. He and his minions sit right behind home plate. I mean, right behind. So the TV camera from center field can't miss him.
Just like at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Same seats he's got.
I'm open for business, he says. 0-2, bouncing ball towards first. Big friendly hop comes up for Pujols. Underhand toss. Skaggs to the bag. And that retires the side. But the Travis d'Arnaud home run has tied this game, and again, what a thrill for Travis to get that done here. 2-2 as we hit the bottom of the third in Anaheim on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Hey, Mets fans, if you're looking to paint your home plate this year, call CertaPro Painters. CertaPro Painters are the local professionals that you can count on, with over 25 local offices in the tri-state area. CertaPro Painters proudly use premium quality Benjamin Moore paints and stains. CertaPro estimates are free, so call today at 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C at 1-800-GO-CERTA or CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, because painting is personal.
Travel rewards usually take forever to earn and even longer to redeem. Introducing Orbitz Rewards, the instant approach. Earn and redeem rewards instantly. Book a flight, use the rewards instantly for your hotel. Book your hotel, use the rewards to stay longer. Book a package, you get the picture. Earn even more when you book on the Orbitz app. 5% on hotels and 2% on flights. Join today at Orbitz.com/rewards and get instant vacation gratification.
The New York State Smokers Quit Line. Talk to your doctor or call 866-NY-QUITS for help quitting smoking today.
Think you could easily get to your family if a disaster struck right now? Think you can wing it during an emergency because you're a New Yorker? Most parents don't realize that protecting your family starts long before an actual disaster strikes. It starts today by being prepared and making a plan.
To learn how, take our Readiness Challenge at nyc.gov/readynewyork or call 311 for information. In this online tool, you'll be faced with real-life challenges, teaching you the importance of being prepared for a disaster.
Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
Mets 2 and the Angels 2 in the bottom of the third inning, and Dylan G, his third start of the year, will have a take two now. He has got the top of the order up for the Halos. Cole Calhoun, Mike Trout, and Albert Pujols. David Wright plays in on the grass at third. Left-hand batter brandishing a two-toned bat. Calhoun takes a change. It's high, 1-0. I was talking to Dylan the other day about how he prepares for every start, how he warms up, what he does out there to get ready. 1-0 pitch, tapped on the ground. Wright diving on the grass. He's got it, straightens up, flings it across. Nice play. David Wright to take care of Cole Calhoun. And being off the line and in helped him a little bit right there. David Wright accounts for the first out of the inning. Up comes Mike Trout. That, the defensive play of the game, brought to you by Barracuda Networks, the leader in content security and protection solutions. Reclaim your network with Barracuda. And with Trout coming up, I think it's instructive, and this is kind of why I asked Dylan about his preparation. I asked him, do you mentally go through the other team's lineup? Do you say, okay, as I'm warming up, here's what I'm about to do to Mike Trout, for example, to try to get him out. Pitches outside to him 1-0. And Dylan says he doesn't do it when he warms up. He doesn't do that real dress rehearsal kind of thing as he's actually warming up in the bullpen to start his night. But in the few days leading up to whatever start, 1-0 pitch blasted in for a strike, 1-1. He says he is absolutely all about that so-called positive visualization. You just imagine yourself facing Mike Trout. You imagine the pitch that you want, that changeup floating in there and him swinging and missing. 1-1, swing and a foul up near third, 1-2.
Well, Tom Seaver always used to talk about, and he did this in particular around his 300th win as a member of the White Sox, looking at the opponent's lineup, even on his way to the ballpark, and thinking, all right, I'm going to have to get one or two of their best hitters at a key point in the game. Who are they? How am I going to pitch them?
Trout a homer to in the first. And he'll take a fastball very high here, 2-2.
And, you try and devise hypothetical situations for what might come up, and you really can't, be that prescient as to assume that the situation will evolve exactly the way you thought it out, but it is preparation.
2-2 delivery off speed outside. I mean, if you took it to that extreme, you know, to think, all right, I'm just going to blaze through and I'm going to pitch a perfect game. Dylan says, and it's a good point, you'd never throw from the stretch while you warm up. You'd always go out of the windup. 3-2, change up. Strike three taken on the outside corner. Actually, might have been the curve. Dylan G sneaks it over on that outside corner. It was the curveball. And Trout maybe will visualize swinging at that next time. Pretty nice pitch, but he just let go by. Albert Pujols comes up next. 1-0 is creamed in the air to right center field. Going back on the ball, Lagares right to the wall. Makes the catch up against that wall to end the inning. In the inning, no runs, hits, or errors, nobody left. We're at the end of 3, and we're tied at 2 on the WOR Mets Radio Network. Driven by your Tri-Honda deal.
Call 866-NY-QUITS for help quitting smoking today.
Your new home for Mets baseball. 710 WOR.
Dylan G breezed through it in the third, including a strikeout of Mike Trout, and that's how you paint the corners. Sponsored by CertaPro Painters, because painting is personal. David Wright to lead it off against young Tyler Skaggs here in the top of the fourth. This game tied 2-2, the first of a 3-game weekend series against a team the Mets hardly ever play, the Los Angeles Angels. Like the Mets are 4-5. David Wright hit into a double play in the first inning, but a run scored on that swing. Here's Skaggs to the plate with a big hook that's apparently a bit outside, 1-0. Skaggs won't turn 23 until July. He's an L.A. native from up in Woodland Hills. 1-0 pitch, brushing the outside corner, 1-1. This is the youngest umpiring crew I think I've ever seen, Howie. Manny Gonzalez in his second year calling balls and strikes. Sean Barber in his first year. Toby Basner in his second year. Fielding Culbert, the crew chief, his 11th year. 1-1 is up and outside, 2-1.
Oh, remember, they've hired extra umpires this year because now they staff the room in New York, which has the monitors for video review. Expansion even in the umpires' reigns.
2-1 curve, hit on the ground near third. Backhand pickup for Freese. Freese arcs a throw in time. Pujols had to stretch a bit, but he's got it. Wright keeps grounding to Freese. Freese keeps hitting it to right. And so it goes tonight. Yeah, you know, the umpires, their original request, I guess, when this was all talked about, going to replay and this whole new world order, they said, why not 7 or 8 new crews? You know, and then you put a fifth umpire that travels with the existing 4 guys. I mean, basically trying to create more jobs for their brethren. Andrew Brown, the batter, and the right-hander takes a look at an off-speed pitch inside 1-0. That was shot down. Major League Baseball didn't want that many new employees. So what they said was, all right, we're going to add 1 new crew. That's 4 new jobs, essentially. And we'll just say, as you said, we'll rotate 1 crew, just sits in New York and watches TV. 1-0 is sprayed to right. That's sinking fast. Calhoun coming. He won't get it. It plops down in front of him. And Andrew Brown has what is just his second hit of the year. The other one was a 3-run homer off Steven Strasburg on opening day.
I think one of the things about the new situation regarding the umpires and replay that the players are most happy about is that those who preside over those reviews in New York are in fact umpires, as opposed, say, to executives who might not actually have umpiring experience. What I can give you just from personal experience in dealing with the replay system in the National Hockey League is that you have former players in some cases who work in their situation room, but the players have always felt that it would be a better situation if they had former referees in those rooms. So baseball's doing it right in that regard.
Here's Curtis Granderson with an infield shift in play on him, and the lefty takes a strike on the outside corner. Well, you know who they could grab then is the Mets equipment manager, Kevin Kierst.
Yeah, he covers both bases, doesn't he?
He's a one-time American Hockey League and East Coast Hockey League official. I remember working games in the ECHL that Kevin Kierst.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
He did his games?
Yep, in Richmond. 0-1 breaking ball. He is outside 1-1.
Was he aggressive in terms of breaking up fights?
Yeah, he was pretty good. He's a big guy. Skates well. That's my scouting report on the Mets equipment guy.
He skates well. Well, there was a reason for it.
Mets 2 and the Angels 2 in the top of the fourth. Granderson off to a sluggish start as a Met. Looks at a curve that hangs outside. So Granderson tilts the count in his favor now at 2-1.
And Kevin is a stickler, by the way, for Mets tradition, which began on this date 52 years ago. He loves the blue and the orange and the pinstripes and all the things that go into recognizing that history and tradition.
Outfield deep, now the pitch. Swing a tapper to third, and that beats the shift. That's into left field and heading towards the line very slowly. Going to third is Brown. Into second, sliding with a double is Curtis Granderson. Every hit he's had as a Met has gone for extra bases, 4 doubles and a home run. And if they hadn't shifted, all that is a ground ball to third base. And quite possibly a double play. But with the shift in position, everybody just watched helplessly along the infield as that ball trickled into left field.
And with all of these, I wouldn't call them newfangled defenses, but with a very large number of managers now going to these overshifts, the more you do that, in Granderson's case, the less inclined the opposition will be to shift, and then you'll buy back your pull side to some extent.
And looking at the replay, honestly, I don't think that was Granderson trying to go the other way. He completely came off that ball, but hey, a hit's a hit. 5 for 34 is a Met now. And here's Satin, second and third, one out. Josh looking for his first hit of the year. 0 for 6 so far. Against the lefty Skaggs, and the pitch is a curve, sailing inside 1-0. You mentioned Skaggs. It's what the Angels got in return for Mark Trumbo from Arizona. And for Skaggs, it was a return because he had started in the Angels system as their 40th overall pick, the 40th overall pick in 09. They had dealt him away to Arizona in the Dan Herron deal. 1-0 pitches high, 2-0. Second and third, one out. And a 2-2 game. We'll give you a scoreboard update sponsored by your Tri-Honda dealers. The network of 61 dedicated dealers serving New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. You can check out their best deals at TriHondaDealers.com. The Yankees lost to Boston 4-2. Big night for Grady Sizemore, including a 3-run home run off his former Indians teammate, C.C. Sabathia. 2-0 on the way. Swinging is crushed in left center field. On the move is Shuck. He won't get it. It bounces up against the wall, and 2 runs are going to score. Satin coasting into second base. Another happy homecoming for a Met. The Mets have the lead here in Anaheim. It's 4-2.
You know, it's interesting. Terry Collins has always felt that Josh Satin is better served when he gets 4 at-bats in a game as opposed to coming off the bench because of some quirks and some mechanical things that he does that need a couple of times against the same pitcher to kind of work out. And this is another perfect example of it. He'd only had a couple of pinch hit opportunities this year and gone 0 for 2. And here in his second at bat tonight, he rips one off the left-hander to left center for 2 runs.
Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, is out there to chat it up with Skaggs, who, remember, allowed only 5 hits the entire game last time out, going 8 innings. He's allowed 7 tonight in 3 1/3. Mike Butcher has been on the job for a while here. A restaurateur as well, by the way. He couldn't hit that up in Phoenix. Got to remember to ask him about that. He owns Aunt Chelada's restaurant.
Oh, with a name like Butcher, you know, he knows his way around the meat anyway.
Well, the Mets again have a runner in scoring position. That's Satin. And here's Juan Lagares. The pitch, a fast one, and a strike on the inside edge, 0-1. Lagares leading the team in runs batted in and in hits. Has a hit tonight, though he was caught stealing in the second inning. Well, the offense starting to click into gear here on this road trip. The Mets had 6 runs yesterday in Atlanta. Rock in the pitch from the left-hander. Bouncing ball chopped near first. Pujols off the line. He'll go to the bag himself and touch up. Moving on down to second base is Satin. Brings up Travis d'Arnaud, who homered last inning. More scores to get to in just a second, but let's pause 10 seconds for station ID on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
This is Kristen Marks, WOR New York. President Obama speaking out about voting rights right here in New York. He also set aside some time for fun in Times Square. Details after the game.
With Howie Rose, Josh Lewin, the Mets trying to build on a 4-2 lead in the top of the fourth. And Tyler Skaggs from the middle of the rubber. The windup and the pitch to Darno, down and in. Had to jump out of the way. The SoCal natives have been getting it done for the Mets. Darno with a home run. That led off the third inning. And now Satin from up in the Hidden Hills, California, about an hour's drive from here. The 2 RBI double in the fourth. Rendering the Hills even happier tonight. 1-0 pitch. He is low, 2-0.
Travis thought he'd hit one out last week against the Reds at Citi Field and just did not get any cooperation from the wind and the cool temperatures. And most people felt that that been later on in the year, the ball would have been out. Well, here, you don't have those conditions right now. And Travis was able to successfully hit one over the fence.
2-0 delivery. Hot shot skips off the mound and hops right to second base. A bobble. Throw by Kendrick in time by a step and a half to get him. And the Mets strand Satin, but Satin came through. Hit one of 2 doubles in the inning. Granderson had the other. There were 3 hits total. 2 runs in. And to the bottom of the fourth we travel now here in Southern California. Mets 4 and the Angels 2 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealer.
Honda Pilots.
Nicotine replacement starter pack. That's 1-866-697-8487.
4-2 New York in the bottom of the fourth. We promised you out-of-town scores, and out-of-town scores you shall have. Boston 4, Yankees 2. That is the final. John Lester over CC Sabathia. Toronto shut out Baltimore 2-0. Dustin McGowan had that shutout with a little bit of help from the bullpen at the end. Dueling shutouts in Arlington, Texas. That's not something you hear very often, but the Astros and the Rangers are 0-0 heading to the 10th. Yu Darvish, who owns that Astros team, almost had a perfect game against him last year. 8 innings of 1-hit ball. Raul Ibanez will, of all things, shorten up. He takes a strike. David Wright was charging in from essentially shortstop because that shift is on here. Nobody's buying the Ibanez bunt, however. The pitch is up and outside, 1-1. This guy's 41 years old. He's a DH. And again, they've got the infield tilted all the way around, thinking he's going to pull this baseball against Dylan G. The 1-1. Swing and a miss. Took a big cut at an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. It's 1-2. And again, the Mets here have hopped into the lead because of a Josh Satin 2 RBI double. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Changeup. And that's it for Ibanez. He has struck out twice. David Freese comes up next. National League, the Phillies over the Marlins 6-3. And Jose Fernandez actually gave up 5 runs in 4 innings in that game. He had allowed 5 runs in his previous 57 innings coming into that game. But the Phillies beat him up. Washington and Atlanta headed to the 10th inning, tied at 6. And Justin Upton, another home run. David Freese will belt one foul to the right side. It's curling into the crowd. 0-1. Upton, a pair of home runs yesterday against the Mets. One of them went 477 feet. Ramiro Pena, 3-run home run in that game. Ryan Zimmerman countered with a 3-run home run. Milwaukee's leading Pittsburgh 4-2, and if that stays the way it is, the Brewers would have the best record in baseball. How about that? They'd have won 7 straight. They'd be 8-2. Yeah, we all saw that coming. Here's the 0-1 from G. In for a strike on the outside corner. He hops ahead of Freese 0-2.
Just earlier this week, Ryan Braun was so concerned about his thumb. He just didn't think he could generate any power, and the next thing you know, he goes out and hits 3 home runs in a game.
Next thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. That's Beverly Hills. That's up to 5. There's a chip ball towards second on the ground off the bat of Freese. The easy play for Murphy back on the grass.
Daniel Murphy backed up all the way to the fancy eating table.
Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore.
No.
Do they? No.
One of the all-time greats.
Yeah. Boyle, that is. Here's Howie Kendrick. Well, the Mets will stay up near Beverly Hills in a couple of months when they play the Dodgers. Pitch to Kendrick is high, 1-0. You take the 5 to the 22 to the 57 to the 405 to the
Stop off at the Commerce Bank, say hi to Mr. Drysdale.
the 1-0 pitch. A strike, 1-1. You and I are both kind of showing our age here, but I just remembering when Johnny Carson would talk about taking the Slauson cutoff. Well, you take the 5 to the 57 and you cut off your Slauson. The 1-1 to Kendrick. He's lined into center field, a base hit. Skipping 3 times on that freshly mowed grass out there in right center. Lagares zings that throw in and actually misses the cutoff man. It got by Murphy, but backed up by Tejada. That makes Kendrick 2 for 2, and up comes J.B. Shuck. Shuck came up last year and hit what he thought was his first big league home run off Matt Garza, then of the Cubs. A replay overturned it. So 8 weeks later, playing the Rangers, he finally does hit a home run that actually counts off Matt Garza, who had just been traded to Texas.
There.
Right, he finally got him. This time it counts. Pitch to Shuck, left-hand batter. Takes a strike on the inside, 0-1. Pitcher, outfielder at Ohio State, the Ohio State University back in the day. Scoreboard says make noise, and these fans will follow the leader. Those that are not bopping a beach ball around. Tossed at first, and diving back in goes Kendrick.
If this game stays the way it is with the Mets leading, we may be a couple of innings away from seeing that rally monkey.
Oh, the mincing primate. You know, it's so weird. A lot of Angel fans, the younger ones, they root for exactly this. They want their team to be losing in the middle of the game, so they can show me the monkey. 0-1, looped in a left. It hangs in the air, and grabbing it is Eric Young Jr. to end the inning. Little 2-out base hit by Howie Kendrick. No issues from there. Just the 1 hit in the inning and 1 left. We now are at the end of 4 out here in Anaheim. It's the Mets 4 and the Angels 2 on the WOR Mets Radio Network. Driven
Specialist if you need extra help expressing.
.com/rewards and get instant vacation gratification.
Your new home for Mets baseball. 710 WOR.
First of 3 games at Angel Stadium. And the Mets have a lead 4-2, and a lot of the California kids have come through tonight. Travis d'Arnaud with a home run. Josh Stanton a 2 RBI double. Foul lines here are 330 feet to left and to right, 396 to center. Power alley 389 in left center, and about that in right center as well. Tougher to hit it out to right, though, because you got the 18-foot high wall for most of the way out there. A little easier in left, especially right down the line, where the wall is actually only 4 feet high for about 20 feet across. Tejada to lead it off in the top of the 5th, and here to tell you all about it, here's Howie.
All right, thanks, Josh. Ruben struck out his first time, fouls the first pitch back to the screen, 0-1, so he is now 0 for his last 9 and 3 for his last 20. Talking about that 4-foot fence down the lines here. Very similar to the left and right field corners at Dodger Stadium, which is where the Angels played for several years, 62, 3, 4, and 5. The 0-1 on the way. Fastball pulled on the ground to short to his right eye bar. Gobbles it up. Fires low to first, but Pujols has it. 1 man away. The Angels actually played at Wrigley Field for a year. No, not that Wrigley Field. They had another Wrigley Field in Los Angeles, which was not only the home of the old Pacific Coast League Los Angeles Angels, who preceded these Angels into their role as an expansion team in the American League, but might remember, and you can probably still find it on YouTube or somewhere, the old show Home Run Derby.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that show was filmed at Wrigley Field in Los Angeles. And then when Dodger Stadium opened in 62, the Angels played there for 4 years before they moved to the new ballpark here. Here's Eric Young, and he takes curveball inside. 1-0 to EY.
Yeah, I think Mark Scott, is that the name of the guy that hosted that?
Yep.
And, you know, I'm having these great memories now because we just saw so much of Hank Aaron in Atlanta.
1-0 to Young, batting right-handed. He fouls a fastball back to the screen.
It was basically like kind of in-game Kiner's Corner, if you can picture that, where, you know, whoever wasn't swinging, they'd just sit down with Mark Scott and they'd make pleasant enough conversation. But, boy, you almost got that one, didn't you, Hank? Yes, Mark, I sure did.
And that was about the extent of it. There was no news broken on that show. The 1-1 fastball taken low, 2 balls and 1 strike.
It was very back porch, just kind of, how are the folks? They're fine.
But, the thing of it is, think of when it aired in, the early 60s, 1960, 61, something like that. 2-1 the count to Young. Now the pitch. Fastball hit on the ground, back to the mound. Juggled, bobbled, picked up, and thrown out is Young by the pitcher himself, Tyler Skaggs. That was an adventure. The ball hit back to the mound and went off his glove and rolled in front of him. He had to scamper over and pick it up, and he throws out Ewide, 2 men away.
He basically dribbled that ball towards first base like he was playing soccer, and then finally got around to picking it up.
Well, again, the thing real quickly about Home Run Derby is that back then most people didn't have the opportunity to see all the stars in baseball the way we do today, particularly those who, didn't live in a major league city and might only have had access to one game of the week when they played the game of the week nationally.
Gil Hodges, Howie, was on there a couple times.
Well, here's Murphy, 1 out of 2. He takes a fastball for a called strike 1. Murph has a brother in the Twins system by the name of Jonathan. And Jonathan Murphy stole home tonight in a game against the St. Lucie Mets. Here's the 0-1. Fastball in the dirt, caroms off the glove of the catcher Iannetta back to the screen. It's 1-1.
I'm rooting for Murphy's little brother. Daniel has said that if it doesn't work out within the next couple of years, he thinks his brother is going to hang it up and go into the seminary.
4-2 New York with 2 out and nobody on here in the 5th inning. One of those beach balls just got loose right near the Mets dugout on the first base side, so a slight delay.
That didn't come out of the Scott Boras suite, did it?
No.
But that's the money cannon.
Lefty against lefty here. The 1-1 to Murph. Fastball ripped towards short, off the glove of Ibar. He picks it up, still has all night to throw out Murphy, and he does. Side retired. Nothing across, middle of the 5th inning. The Mets 4, the Angels 2 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by...
Plan for a financially secure future. Mutual of America should be your first.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by your local Tri-Honda dealers, a network of 61 dedicated dealers serving the tri-state area of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Check out their best deals today at TriHondaDealers.com. We head to the last of the 5th inning here at Angels Stadium of Anaheim, where the Mets lead the Angels 4-2. It'll be 8-9-1 in the Angel batting order to face Dylan G, who's allowed 4 hits through the first 4 innings. One of them an RBI single to the leadoff batter here in the 5th, Chris Iannetta. And the first pitch to the right-hand batter, a breaking ball over for a called strike 1. Iannetta broke an 0-for-15 slump with that RBI single in the 2nd inning. That gave the Angels a 2-1 lead, but it didn't last long at all. The 0-1 pitch, another curveball swung on and missed. 2 straight hooks, and it's 0-2. Eric Ibar on deck, and then Cole Calhoun here in the 5th inning as Terry Collins returns to Anaheim, where he used to manage the Angels. Here's the 0-2 on the way outside and high, a fastball 1-2. Terry was in rare form during his pregame press conference today. Remember, when he was managing the Angels, he was a much more combustible individual by his own admission than he is now. The 1-2 fastball high, 2-2. Eventually they petitioned the Angels players to change managers. They finally did. And, Terry talks openly about how much he learned from the experience, how much he's changed over the years. 2-2 pitch fouled straight back upstairs into the upper deck. Somebody said to Terry, "What hasn't changed since 1999?" He says, "I'll tell you what hasn't changed. I haven't grown 1 stinking inch." I may be paraphrasing there, but the key words are the same. 2-2 pitch, fastball outside, ball 3. So after 2 straight curveballs and getting ahead of Iannetta, 0-2, now the count's full.
So you clean that up nicely.
Yeah.
And essentially the baton was passed with one middleman on to Mike Scioscia, who's still here.
Here's the payoff pitch. Swing and a foul coming straight back into the press box out of play.
And Joe Madden for about a month took the gig on an interim basis and eventually got hired away by the Tampa Bay Rays once they said goodbye to Lou Piniella.
Well, there's a former Mets coach who works under Mike Scioscia here, who unfortunately can't work right now, and that's Don Baylor. Payoff pitch, outside, ball 4. Oh, that's a tough one for Dylan G. Quickly ahead of Iannetta with 2 breaking balls, 0-2. Now he loses him. A leadoff walk to a slumping hitter, and that'll bring up Eric Ibar.
Yeah, number 8 batter has been on base twice tonight. That's as many times as he had been on base in the last week and a half.
First walk allowed not only by G, but by either pitcher in this game. So Iannetta is at first, and Eric Ibar, who grounded to second his first time up, will be the batter. Switch hitter, batting left-handed. Right shortens up at third. G to the belt, first pitch. Crowds him inside. 1 ball and no strikes, a fastball. Our trivia question tonight is presented by New York State Smokers Quit Line. Talk to your doctor or call 866-NY-QUITS for help quitting smoking today. First time the Mets and Angels ever played was on June 13th of 2003. There's still one player in the major leagues who was in that game. Who was it? The 1-0, taken low, 2 balls and no strikes. And suddenly Dylan G can't find the strike zone.
Yeah, not with that breaking ball anyway, after he dropped a couple of beauties in there to start the inning.
Well, the answer to that trivia question, it was Jose Reyes, who was in the first week of his major league career. He debuted for the Mets in a game that you did working for the Texas Rangers just several days before.
I remember that.
2-0 the count. Now the pitch. Ibar takes a fastball high, ball 3. It wouldn't be surprising to see Dan Warthen any moment here. G is a guy who hardly walks people to begin with. That was only the 4th walk in 18 innings that Dylan has allowed, but now he's behind Eric Ibar 3-0 with the top of the order coming up next. Wright is at the edge of the infield grass, and the 3-0 pitch right down the middle of fastball, strike 1. Cole Calhoun, the right fielder, is the guy waiting on deck. Mets about hit the Angels 7-4. But Don Baylor, as you probably know, broke a bone in his leg catching a first pitch, believe it or not. Here's the 3-1 on the way, in for a called strike. Ibar thought it was up. It was a fastball, and Ibar turns to have a word with Manny Gonzalez. Well, the pitch was about letter high, maybe even just a touch below the letters, and Manny Gonzalez gives G the call. So it's full count now on Eric Ibar. Iannetta being held on at first by Josh Satin. No one out, last of the 5th, 4-2 Mets. G comes set at the belt. Now the pitch. Swinging a high fly ball deep to right. It's hooking down the line into the corner. A foul ball. Ibar just got out in front and did not miss a home run by much. And so the count remains full now. Eric Ibar is not a guy who's known for power. He has hit as many as 10 home runs in a year. 38 coming into this season after coming up in 2006. So 3-2 the count. Iannetta was not running on that payoff pitch. G sets. Here's the pitch. Swinging a high fly ball to straightaway center. Back goes Lagares. Still going back. Makes the catch in front of the warning track. Iannetta back to first. So a good recovery by G, who had been behind 3-0. 1 out. Back to the top of the order now, and Cole Calhoun.
Then for Ibar, after he thought he had a walk, he blasted away a couple times. Just missed a home run, and then he sent Lagares back about 385 feet.
Well, Calhoun has a couple of home runs on the year. Tonight, he is grounded to first. And David Wright made a nice diving stop going to his left to take a potential base hit away from him in the 3rd. 1 gone here in the last of the 5th. G to the belt. And Dylan's first pitch. Fastball is high, ball 1. Talking before, just to put in perspective what that start that G turned in against the Yankees last May 30th meant not only for that night, but to his career. And you look at what he's compiled, including that game from that point on. It's been very impressive and among the best in baseball. The 1-0 curveball down and in, blocked in the dirt by Darno. It's 2-0. Since that game last May 30th, G is 10-5 with a 2.87 earned run average over 24 starts. You do that over your first 24 starts of a season, you're probably in the All-Star game.
No doubt.
Which has been played in this building, by the way, 3 different times. 2-0, the count to Calhoun. David Wright, the third baseman, off the line, right on the edge of the infield grass. G sets. Here's the 2-0. Swinging a pop foul coming back into the seats behind the third base dugout. Right over for a look, but no chance. It's almost 20 rows back.
You hope that G doesn't get too fastball happy right here. The curveball's just not getting over right now. And he doesn't have the kind of fastball that he can just zoom right by you. That was an effective fastball at 90 right there because it kind of snuck up on Cole Calhoun.
Again, here against the left-hand batter, in particular, that changeup becomes such a good weapon for G. 2-1, the count to Calhoun. Ionetta leads from first with 1 out. Now the pitch. A little bit high and away. A fastball, and it's 3-1. And with Mike Trout on deck, you have to go with Calhoun here, even though he's a left-hand batter.
Yeah, a changeup on 3-1 would be pretty brave. Because, yeah, if you miss, if he just kind of looks at it and watches it drop low, you got to deal with Trout.
So now G sets. Here's the 3-1. Fastball low, ball 4. And now G has walked himself into big trouble because the next 2 hitters are named Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. So here is a pivotal point in this game midway through. Dan Warthen, the pitching coach, starts to the mound. And while they talk, I mentioned before, if you don't pay much attention for whatever reason to the American League, you know what the exploits of Mike Trout have been. But how historic are they? Well, listen to some of these names. He hit .326 his rookie year 2 years ago, .323 last year. So that's just the 6th batter going back to 1900 to hit at least .320 in both his age 20 and age 21 seasons, joining Ty Cobb, Stuffy McGinnis, Jimmy Fox, Mel Ott, and Ted Williams. And he and Willie Mays are the only players in the history of baseball with 2 seasons of a .320 average, 25 homers, and 30 steals, never mind in their first 2 years, but any time in their career. That's an historic start to a career.
And a guy that 24 teams passed on. Mike Trout was picked number 25 overall in the draft.
Amazing, isn't it? So 4-2 New York. Trout homer to center his first time up. Struck out looking his second. G to the belt. The first pitch on the way. Fastball over the outside corner. Strike 1 call.
Well, you'd think that after that incredible rookie year that he had, there would be some fall down. Well, I guess you can say he went from 30 home runs to 27. Batting average went from .326 to .323. But everything else stayed pretty much exactly where it was, if not got a little better.
And he got a 6-year contract. 0-1 the count. Now the pitch. Swinging a high fly ball. Left center, hustling into the gap. Lagares. He calls off Young. They come together. Young cut in front of him, and Young made the catch. The runners hold. Boy, they're lucky there wasn't a collision there. Because Juan Lagares, the center fielder, that's his ball, basically. He's the center fielder. He's calling for it. The center fielder's responsibility is to take whatever he could get to. And Eric Young, cutting across, just picked that ball off as Lagares was poised to catch it.
And even though it's a big crowd here tonight, the fans out there in left center aren't on top of you at all. There's a lot of just kind of open real estate. And I got to think that they could hear each other yelling, but something went wrong.
Well, there's plenty more that can go wrong with this guy coming up now. Albert Pujols, he's flied out twice, once to right, once to center. Pujols, by the way, is closing in on his 500th home run. He's got 494. That's 26th all time. But he'll be the 26th to get to 500. Next up on the list is Eddie Murray, who's got 504. 2 out, 2 on. We're in the last of the 5th. 4-2 Mets. First pitch to Pujols. And a curveball is high. 1-0. The left-hand hitter, Raul Ibanez, is on deck. So Dylan G is being asked to do about as much heavy lifting as you could be required to do to get out of even mild difficulty when you consider Trout and Pujols are back-to-back.
That takes a psychological toll on you. Those two guys right in a row.
1-0 the count. Now the pitch. Curveball, a little bit high, ball 2. And, you know, that's why when you look at pitch counts, and right now Dylan G is up to 76, you know, if he can somehow get Pujols in another pitch or two here, then he's right on target with where you'd want to be after 5 innings. However, you know, he's had a lot of men on base, and so he's had to make, particularly in this inning, a lot of stressful pitches. And that is deceiving. The 2-0 curveball somewhere for ball 3 looked pretty good, but I guess they're saying it was inside.
I wonder if they turn Pujols loose 3-0.
I would.
You know, he's had 18 men on base now this year, Howie, and he hasn't driven a single one of those in terms of when they've been in scoring position, I should say.
I'd be careful. 3-0 to this guy. Here's the pitch. Takes it high. Ball 4. 3 walks in the inning. That's as many as Dylan had allowed in 14 innings coming into the game and 4 more tonight. So now the bases are loaded. Raul Ibanez, a left-hand hitter with power coming up. Quick ID on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Catch the Rush Limbaugh Show, weekdays noon till 3 on the new radio home of the Mets, 710 WOR New York.
Howie Rose, Josh Lewin with you in Anaheim. Key point of this game. Mets 4, Angels 2, bases loaded, 2 out last of the 5th. Here's Ibanez. First pitch by G. Bouncing ball up the first baseline. Hits the bag. Caroms to Satin. Ibanez wasn't running. Satin goes to the bag. Touches up. Side retired. Ibanez thought it was a foul ball. And then by the time he recognized that it was right on the line and he'd better get moving, even stepping on the gas at the age of 41, Stanton beat him, and that ends the inning. And G catches a break. No runs, no hits, 3 walks. The Angels leave him loaded. And at the end of 5, the Mets 4, the Angels 2 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Hey, talk to your doctor or call 866-NY-QUITS for help quitting smoking today.
Had to work awfully hard to get out of that bottom of the 5th inning with Raul Ibanez bouncing one off the first base bag. Ibanez not running immediately. Ball carried right to Josh Satin, who ran the first for the putout, and G retired the side. And when you're thinking about your retirement, our friends at Andriola, Goldberg and Associates are there for you. So it remains 4-2 New York as we go to the 6th inning. David Wright, 0 for 2, will lead off against the lefty Tyler Skaggs, who has only thrown 60 pitches through the first 5 innings. And Skaggs with his first pitch to Wright, a fastball high for ball 1.
A lot of keeping the ball on the ground here, Howie. The Mets have not gotten many of them up in the air except for Travis d'Arnaud, who cleared the wall in left center field.
Skaggs, the overhead windup, the 1-0 pitch. Fastball line to left, moving towards the gap. Shuck, he dives it. He can't get it. It's off his glove. Caroms to his left, Wright digging for second. Shuck picks it up, the throw. Not in time. Caroms off the glove of Kendrick, the second baseman. Backed up behind the mound by the first baseman, Pujols. And David Wright has a leadoff double.
Now, Shuck took kind of a zigzag route to get to that ball, and he ended up short of hopping it. The ball never did travel quite to where he had ended up, and then he tried to scoop that ball, and he misfired on that and took a face plant in the process. So it's not going to stick to the highlight reel of young Mr. Shuck, who's just come up from AAA.
So that's 8 hits for the Mets, half of them for extra bases. Andrew Brown hit back to the box, singled and scored. Coming in the 4th inning. The Mets scored twice to break a 2-2 tie, and now they look for more in the 6th. First pitch on the way to the right-hand batter. A fastball high, 1-0. Mets fans, if you're suffering from joint pain and want an alternative to surgery, call the Ash Center for Comprehensive Medicine at 212-758-3200 or go to ashcenter.com. That's ashcenter.com. The outfield straight away against Andrew Brown, right-hand hitter with power. The 1-0 pitch, curveball, and that's fouled off to the right downstairs behind the dugout. And Andrew Brown just missed a hanger there because that ball was up in an area where a guy with his power could have hit that one a long way. So Andrew, recognizing that, a little frustrated, steps out of the batter's box and just goes for a little walk. Now he's back in, measuring his swing against the lefty Skaggs, who comes set shoulder high. Checks right at second. Now the 1-1. Curveball, and that's hit in the air to left field. Not deep. Charging in Shuck. He's there, and he makes the catch, and Wright's got a hold on at second. So Andrew Brown missed a couple of hittable curveballs there.
Yeah, and, you know, that's a tough one, Howie, because those are big, fat, looping curveballs coming in. Andrew Brown takes such a big, vicious swing, wants to hit the ball to the rock pile. I understand it. But what is the game asking you to do? Right, you got a runner at second base and nobody out. All you're looking to do is get that runner over. And I know that Andrew's a cleanup man tonight and all that, but trying to muscle up and yank that ball, I mean, unless you do hit it 440 feet, I'd rather see him try to, if not take that one, wait and take that pitch the other way.
Here's Granderson, who doubled the other way his last time, takes a fastball outside, ball one. Just as they were then, meaning in the fourth inning, the Angels have overshifted against Granderson. Andrew Brown had been on first base. With the third baseman, David Freese, way off the line. Granderson tucked one to that side and had a double. Here's the 1-0. Curveball, that hits the outside edge. It's 1-1.
Well, a lot of curves here from a young Mr. Skaggs tonight. Kevin Jepson has gotten up in the bullpen for them. First time we've seen any action either way tonight.
The curveball is Skaggs' best pitch. So Wright, not too big a lead off of second. Howie Kendrick, the second baseman, keeping him close. David holding batting gloves in each hand. Now the 1-1. Curveball. Granderson starts the hands. They check at third. No swing, says the crew chief. Field and Culbreth. And the count 2-1 now to Granderson. Josh Santon, a right-hand hitter, is on deck. Let's have all right-handed hitters up behind Granderson, at least among the next four, plus Eric Young, a switch hitter, the fifth in that order. Now Skaggs with a 2-1. Fastball popped up left side of the infield. It's the third baseman Freese backing up and reaching over his shoulder to make the catch. Just a stride or two in from the outfield grass. That ball had a lot of hang time, and Freese was fighting it. He won the battle. Wright is still at second, 2 men away, and Josh Santon coming up.
Well, 2 fly balls now, with Mets just kind of getting under him. So with Brown and Granderson, Wright still on the vine out there at second base, and we'll see what Santon can do to bring him around.
Well, Santon brought 2 around with a double to left center his last time after grounding to third back in the second inning. It's 4-2 New York, but they've got Wright at second with 2 men away. So Skaggs sets up with the shoulder. Wright leads from second. First pitch, curveball, and that's over for a called strike. 0-1.
So it was a fastball that Josh got for his 2 RBI double last time up, for his first hit all season.
Josh had been 0 for 6 until that double. This is only the second game he has started. He'll probably get another one on Sunday against C.J. Wilson. Here's the 0-1. Now the curveball swung on and missed 0-2. Now tomorrow the Mets are going to see a right-hander as the Angels will throw Jared Weaver. And both Ike Davis and Lucas Duda should be in the lineup tomorrow with a designated hitter available. But right here it's 0-2 on Josh Santon as David Wright walks that lead off of second base. Trout, the center fielder, just one step to the opposite side against Santon. Now Skaggs trying to work out of difficulty after the leadoff double by Wright. It's a pitch away from doing that. Here's the 0-2. Breaking ball in the dirt. Nice block by Iannetta sliding to his left. So 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Josh Santon with Juan Lagares waiting on deck. Now that the sun has gone down, it's cooled off a little bit here with 68 degrees at game time. It's supposed to be a little cooler tomorrow and Sunday, but then the Mets are going to Phoenix, and they may see some 90-degree temperatures there. Giddy up. 1-2 to Santon. Here's the pitch. Fastball way outside. Ball 2. That's, I believe, are making, 4 separate trips to the West Coast this year.
Yep.
They're going to have games in Oakland against the A's, a 2-game series there in August, and then we'll follow on to Los Angeles and play the Dodgers. And right after the All-Star break, they go to Seattle and San Diego, and they'll be in San Francisco in June. 2-2 to Satin. Here's the pitch. Curveball, little bit high. Close pitch, but a full count.
And Skaggs tried not to show or vent frustration here, but you could tell from his body language he thought he had Satin struck out.
So right now, measuring a little bit bigger lead off of second base. Just checking over his left shoulder to see where Kendrick is. He's the second baseman, shading a bit towards the bag against the right-hand batter. 3-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Curveball, and he fouls it straight down off his leg. Satin appears to be okay, just hobbling ever so slightly behind home plate.
I got to think this is the most curveballs from a percentage basis that the Mets have faced yet this year. And the coin of the realm in his first start was not so much the curve, it was that sinker, which is a new pitch for him.
Well, scouts generally rate on a 20 to 80 scale, 20 being the worst, 80 being the best. They say that Skaggs has about a 65 curveball on that scale. Going to it a lot here. Now he's ready. The payoff pitch. Fastball in there. Strike 3 called, and that retires the side. Almost looked like Satin had that curveball in his head and might have been looking for it. 3-2, but a good job by Skaggs working around the leadoff double by Wright. 1 hit, 1 left, middle of the 6th. Mets 4, Angels 2 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealer.
1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CERTAPRO.com. CERTAPRO Painters, because painting is personal. Don't get...
And replace that inefficient beast in your basement with an American-made Peerless Boilers. Go to PeerlessBoilers.com for more info and to find a dealer near you. Remember, Peerless builds America's best boilers. Well, we head to the last of the 6th inning. Mets had a chance to build on that 4-2 lead. David Wright, who led off with a double, was stranded there. And so David Freese, Howie Kendrick, and J.B. Shuck will bat against Dylan G., who has thrown 79 pitches through 5 innings. Not a high total, but again, a lot of stressful pitches. First pitch on the way, fought off and fouled back to the screen, 0-1. And, you know, we talk about stressful pitches, and you might say to yourself, well, so what? What's the difference? It's still the same number of pitches. Well, you're expending a lot more mental energy building up to the pitch itself. A lot of deliberation. The 0-1 curveball fouled back to the screen, 0-2. And pitchers will tell you that it takes a toll. And so all pitch counts are not created equal. So don't look at 79 and say, well, Dylan's fine through 5. He might have paid a tax in that 5th inning. The 0-2 on the way, and that's fouled straight back upstairs by Freese, who has grounded to third and grounded to second in 2 trips tonight.
One thing working in Dylan's favor tonight, and Skaggs's as well, obviously, is that it's just such perfect weather. In terms of getting overtaxed, weather doesn't factor into it tonight.
Rarely does out here.
True
the
that.
0-2 on the way, a fastball high, 1-2. As you were talking about before, at the very beginning of the game, before this place opened in 1966, among other things they had here, like corn, were eucalyptus trees. A 1-2 on the way, a fastball driven in the air, right side, slicing towards the sidewall and foul ground. 3 Mets are over there, but it's beyond all of their reach and out of play as Granderson from right, Murphy from second, and Satin from first all pursued it. The count 1-2. Eucalyptus trees would really come in handy for broadcasters because eucalyptus has a very soothing property. And, you know, just walk out there and grab a couple of eucalyptus leaves off the tree.
It's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
Absolutely. But they're gone.
They paved paradise and put up a parking lot.
1-2 to Freese. A curveball in the dirt. 2-2. Joni Mitchell, I think, is from Ontario, but not Ontario, California.
Oh, that would have been perfect. That airport is right over yonder.
I don't even know if she's from Ontario. I know she's Canadian. 2-2 on the way. Swing and a miss at a high fastball. He struck him out. So G punches out Freese for Dylan, his 4th strikeout. 1 away, and Howie Kendrick coming up.
Well, you mentioned the weather here. They haven't had a rain out in this stadium, Howie, since 1995. 19 years. And you know, they have that fabled marine layer They refuse to call them clouds. We just call them clouds. They say, no, it's just a marine layer. But sometimes you get rain out of the marine layer.
Howie Kendrick, 2 for 2, takes the first pitch for a called strike. A fastball, 0-1. My former partner, Wayne Hagan, spent a lot of time out here going to school in San Diego. And he used to talk about that marine layer. Here's the 0-1 to Kendrick. Fastball crowds him inside, ball 1. You know, just as you described it, when I first heard him talk about it, I'd say, well, now, wait a minute. Everything you're saying just adds up to clouds.
Right.
Oh, no, it's a marine layer. It's different.
You have to salute it.
I guess. The 1-1, fastball high, 2-1. Of course, you salute, or did, and I guess always will, the Colonel in San Diego. Talk about a Marine.
Yeah,
Jerry Coleman.
Yeah, got one sitting just to our left, too, Sandy Alderson.
2-1, breaking ball in for a called strike. 2-2 to Howie Kendrick.
I think Sandy would appreciate that if we just turned to the window and we both just saluted him and he would have no idea why.
That helps us keep our jobs. I'm all for it. Salute the boss. 2-2 pitch. Curveball in the dirt. Full count. J.B. Shuck waits on deck. Check out some scores sponsored by the New York Lottery. Everybody wins, including tonight the Atlanta Braves, as Justin Upton, Mets might have got him going last night. He continued tonight. Payoff pitch to Kendrick is high and inside, ball 4. Kendrick ducking away from a curveball, and Dylan G has walked his 4th batter.
Yeah, 4 of the last 8 Angels hitters, matter of fact.
And that'll bring up left-hand hitting J.B. Shuck. But tonight in Atlanta, Justin Upton tied a game against the Washington Nationals with a home run in the 8th inning, and Mets pitching coach Dan Walton is on his way to the mound. And then Upton won the game with a single near the bottom of the 10th as Atlanta beat Washington 7-6. The Giants are leading the Rockies 6-3 at the end of 4 in San Francisco. Madison Bumgarner pitching for the Giants, and he's hit a grand slam in that game in a 5-run Giant 4th inning. Red Hot Brewers won again as they defeated Pittsburgh 4-2. Milwaukee 7 straight wins now, winning 8 of their first 10 games, leading the National League Central. Conversation on the mound is concluded. So here is J.B. Shuck, who hit back to the box and flied to left. And it's that time, Josh. There's that rally monkey jumping around on the scoreboard out in right center field.
Now, the etiquette dictates the monkey only appears 6th inning or later, and the Angels have to be trailing in the game. That's how it works.
So here is J.B. Shuck, left-hand batter. First pitch, breaking ball in the dirt. He holds his swing. They check at third. No swing, says field and culprit. It's ball 1. Chris Iannetta, the on-deck hitter. So the crowd this time, without provocation from the rally monkey, making noise on their own.
Good for them.
What a concept.
How about that?
Gee, a quick throw to first, and diving back in is Kendrick.
That legend of the rally monkey began in June of the year 2000. They were playing the Giants, the very team they would beat in the World Series 2 years later. Desperate effort by a couple guys in the video control room trying to spark a rally against Rob Nen.
1-0 to Shuck. Kendrick leads from first. The pitch. Fastball hit deep to right. Down the line towards the pole. It is a home run and a tie game. J.B. Shuck with his first homer of the year. The second home run allowed tonight by Dylan G, who's now allowed 5 home runs on this young season. And the Angels have tied it 4-4.
Well, Shuck, as we mentioned earlier, is not a guy who hits them out that often. It took him a while and then a second chance to get it when he finally did hit one last year. But now a monkey-infused 2-run shot just up from AAA. Shuck ties the game.
So here's Chris Iannetta, right-hand batter, takes a fastball for a called strike 1. And again, it's only speculation, and only Dylan G would know the answer. He missed in there. The 0-1, swing and a miss. The bat, though, goes flying down the third baseline and thankfully lands on the field without making contact with anyone. The count 0-2. But again, you go back to that 5th inning where G walked the 3 batters. Yeah. We talked about stressful pitches. Well, does it take a toll on your ability to locate? He wanted to get that fastball in on Shuck, but he didn't get it in far enough. Leaked out over the plate, and Shuck yanked it inside the foul pole down the right field line for a home run.
89 and not a lot of movement on it. Shuck with 3 career major league home runs now, only 7 ever in the minor leagues.
Here's the 0-2 on the way, and that's on the outside corner, a called strike, and Chris Iannetta down on strikes. 2 men away, and Eric Ibar, the shortstop, will be the batter. 5th strikeout for G. Ibar is grounded to second and flied to center. Phillies beat the Marlins tonight in Philadelphia 6-3. Derek Dietrich, Marlins infielder, hit his 2nd home run. Red Sox over the Yankees 4-2 at Yankee Stadium. Here's Ibar batting left-handed, takes a fastball high for ball 1. Johnny Gomes, Grady Sizemore, and Alfonso Soriano with home runs in that game. Amazing, they've been able to put Grady Sizemore back together.
Right.
The 1-0 to Ibar, fastball taken low, 2-0.
Boy, he had that city of Cleveland on a string when he was really healthy and productive. Every able-bodied single female had his poster.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swing and a liner over second, base hit. Going into center field for Ibar, his first hit of the game. Lagares plays the ball back in. And the Angels now with 6 hits, and that's going to be it for Dylan G. Terry Collins is on his way to the mound, and Dylan G will not get through the 6th inning here. But Carlos Torres enters the game for the Mets with a score tied at 4 and 2 out here on the bottom of the 6th inning. And the fact that Dylan G does not get through the 6th is news. He had gone 19 straight starts of at least 6 innings going back to last June 29th. But not tonight. Not on a night when he had a 4-2 lead coming into this inning. Not on a night when the Mets are here a little bleary-eyed after having traveled most of the night because of the night game in Atlanta last evening. And Dylan G was on that flight. G was not sent early. And so Carlos Torres now will try and get out of this inning, facing Cole Calhoun. 0 for 2 of the walk, a throw to first, and diving back in is Ibar. Torres pitched last night. He was marvelous. Gave up a hit to the first batter he faced. Then there were 5 in a row that he retired, including a double play. So he certainly did his job over 2 splendid innings. And Torres, for his efforts, wound up the winning pitcher in the Mets' 6-4 win. First pitch on the way, a fastball taken low, and the count 1-0 on Cole Calhoun.
Now, as much as the bullpen was taking the heat after that initial series against the Nationals, 14 straight innings now without allowing a run for this formerly beleaguered bullpen.
And that covers the last 5 games after they gave up 14 runs, 13 earned in the first 4 games. 1-0 pitch, hit on the ground towards third, foul, and not by much. Kind of an inside-out swing, and David Wright playing off the line with a left-hand hitter, totally defenseless there as that ball hugged the line and went past the third base coach, Gary D. Sarcina, who Terry Collins managed here in Anaheim, and said he's one of the absolute favorite players that he's ever had.
And his word is gold to Terry Collins. I'll tell you a quick story about that, time permitting.
1-1 the count. Quick throw to first, but back diving safely is Ibar because the throw from Torres was high.
So the whole reason the Mets have Tom Goodwin as their first base coach, Terry Collins didn't know him from Adam. He got a recommendation phone call from Gary D. Sarcina. Said, you know what? I think Tom Goodwin would be a great fit for you guys. TC said, okay.
And he is. 1-1 the count. Now the pitch. Fastball inside, ball 2. Tom also works with the outfielders. But you know, you can only manage or coach what you have. And as the Mets brought Juan Lagares to the big leagues last year, and as Eric Young Jr. became a Met, all of a sudden the Mets outfield became more athletic.
Yep.
And more capable of taking potential extra base hits away. 2-1 pitch. Fastball missed inside and low. Ball 3. So again, Cole Calhoun becomes a huge out for Mets pitching here because of the guy in the on-deck circle, Mike Trout. Score is tied 4-4. But now a 3-1 count on Calhoun, a left-hand batter with Trout waiting on deck.
And Torres looking like he's still trying to get comfortable up there on that mound.
Here's the 3-1. Outside, ball 4.
And Torres wants to know where that was. Both of these teams, back and forth, have had issues with the strike zone tonight. Mike Scioscia, who is famous for staring down at home plate umpires with this kind of bewildered look, has done it probably about 5 times tonight.
And now here comes Mike Trout. Scott Rice is up to the Mets bullpen, but that's not for Trout or the on-deck batter Pujols. That's for 2 batters beyond Trout with Raul Ibanez. Trout is homered, struck out looking, fly to left. And the first pitch to him. Fastball over, strike 1 called. A cutter from Carlos Torres. That fly ball to left that Trout hit in the 5th inning was nothing routine as it turned out. It really should have been, but it should have been for Juan Lagares, the center fielder, who was shaded towards right center, had to cover some ground, but he was there. Eric Young cut right in front of him. They almost collided, and Young caught the ball. The 0-1. Fastball a little bit low. 1-1. So for the second straight inning, the Mets have reached a bit of a crossroads here. As Dylan G was able to fight through it in the 5th, he has allowed the Angels to tie it here in the 6th. And Torres trying to prevent any further damage. 1-1 to Trout, now time called. Trout from Millville, New Jersey. He's actually a shortstop when he went to high school there. In fact, his dad coaches football there. Torres ready, the 1-1 pitch. Swinging a high fly ball, slicing down the right field line towards the corner. Still slicing and out of play. A long foul ball. The count 1-2, and we'll pause for station identification on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
This is Kristen Marks, WOR New York.
Howie Rose, Josh Lewin with you in Anaheim. It's the Mets 4, the Angels 4, with 2 out in the last of the 6th inning. And Carlos Torres working hard here against Mike Trout, who will not turn 23 years of age until August. Can you imagine if he gotten through his first 6 years the way he's had his first 2 and what he might have commanded as a free agent then? Angels actually made a great deal. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Threw a fastball by him. Side retired. So Torres strikes out Trout. And the inning is over, but not before the Angels tie it. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left. And at the end of 6, it's the Mets 4, the Angels 4 on the WOR Mets Radio Network.
New York. Ameriprise Financial Services Incorporated. Member FINRA and SIPC. Ameriprise Financial cannot guarantee future financial results.
710 WOR, your new radio home for New York Mets baseball.
Get to Citi Field Friday, April 18th for Free Shirt Friday when the Mets take on the Braves at 7:10 p.m. All fans in attendance will receive an exclusive New York Mets t-shirt courtesy of Caesars. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Free Shirt Fridays. We appreciate you hanging in with us beyond midnight back in New York. We've got a 4-4 game as we head to the 7th. Juan Lagares will lead off for the Mets. And still on the mound for the Angels, Josh, it's the lefty Tyler Skaggs.
Yeah, and only 76 pitches so far. Dylan G did not get through 6, and he threw exactly 100 again. That's all 3 games, exactly 100 for Dylan G. First pitch down in the dirt to Lagares, and we're underway in the top of the 7th inning. Juan 1 out of 2 with a single, now hitting .333, 10 games into the season. Skaggs wearing 45 on his back, a curve, socked on the ground, a couple of hops to short. Ibar's got it. Winds and fires to first, 1 up, 1 down. To bring up Travis d'Arnaud. Mets baseball brought to you by RE/MAX. If you're a real estate agent only showing you the listings they want you to see, visit RE/MAX.com and see all the listings in New York State. Nobody in the world sells more real estate than RE/MAX. Now the wee small hours On a Friday turning into a Saturday, the Mets are all about the wee smalls. They got in at what would have been 5 a.m. East Coast time, got to the hotel at 6 a.m. East Coast time this morning.
Yeah, there's a story behind that, too.
Pitch to d'Arnaud is outside, 1-0.
Because of the late hour at which the Mets arrived, the much closer airport here in Orange County had a curfew and was unable to accept the Mets charter. They knew that in advance. I mean, that's nothing they found out when they were diverted, but they had to go out to LAX.
d'Arnaud takes and runs outside, 2-0.
And that's, a good 40, 45-minute ride from the airport, which is about the last thing anybody was in the mood for.
So the Mets got out quickly, even with all that tonight. Got a 1-0 lead, a 2-1 lead, a 4-2 lead. It is now 4-4. 2-0 pitch, big curve, and a wave and a miss, 2-1. The Mets have had the lead in every game but one so far this season. By the way, this copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of Sterling Mets may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets. d'Arnaud taking his time getting settled again. They had in the count 2-1, some room in right center for him. Here's the pitch, bouncing ball towards second base. A worm burner, actually, grounded right at the second baseman Kendrick, who throws to Pujols for the out. And up comes Ruben Tejada. As we talk about pace of game, I'm going to suggest to you Ruben is one of those mild offenders, just in terms of how quickly he gets from the batter's box up to home plate. Always takes an extra 2 or 3 swings before he heads that way. And then when he gets to home plate, first thing he does is turn left. Goes way up towards third base, kind of collects himself. Then he'll head towards the plate again, tap dirt out of his spikes, and then get in. And that's pretty much every time. Freese plays close to the line at third. The pitch on the way. A dart for a strike outside corner, 0-1.
Well, every team has hitters like that, but as they continue to talk about the pace of the game, it's on that home plate umpire, I think, to keep those hitters in the box.
That's one thing that, I don't know if it's a gear grinder, but it's a shoulder shrugger at least. 0-1 delivery. Curve is fouled down near third. It's 0-2. I mean, the umpires have a manual, and it says you're supposed to clap your hands, get the guys right up there. Let's go, 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 go. And, I'm not picking on Tejada because you're right. Everybody has at least one player like that in baseball. I mean, why write that down in the manual if you're not going to enforce it? Here's the windup in the 0-2. Curve is socked in the air to center. Dropping fast. Base hit for Ruben Tejada down in front of Mike Trout. All's well that ends well. Worth waiting for Tejada as he drops an 0-2 pitch softly into center field. And Eric Young Jr. to the plate.
And he was waiting a little while and broke an 0 for 10.
Young 1 out of 3 with a run scored. Scored 4 times in the game yesterday in Atlanta. That's a career high. And the last time a Met scored 4 runs in a game, would you believe Ronnie Paulino in that series against the Tigers, where a lot of runs were being scored? What was that, in 2011? Would have gone a long way down the list before getting Ronnie Paulino. Freese again very close to the line against a right-hand batter. And the pitch, a fastball strike on the inside corner, 0-1. It's smart for the third baseman with a curveballer, left-handed curveballer, to play close to the line against a right-hand batter. Because if that right-hand batter waits back and times one of those curves, that could indeed be right near the line at third base. Outfielders are straight away. Safe lead at first base for Tejada, and the pitch is dribbled foul up near third, 0-2. Hey, if you get to Citi Field Saturday, April 19th, a week from tomorrow, Mets and the Braves, the first 20,000 fans get a Shea Stadium 50th anniversary canvas print, courtesy of New Era. Go to Mets.com for more information. This is not the anniversary of Shea's opening today. What it is the anniversary of is the first ever New York Mets regular season baseball game. A 7-run loss in St. Louis. 2-strike pitch, curve in the dirt, 1-2.
Something was up. Well, the day before, they were supposed to open in St. Louis. Bunch of guys got stuck in the elevator and finally hustled over to the ballpark after missing the bus, only to find out that the game was rained out.
That is so 1962.
And there was more where that came from. Much, much more.
This game tied at 4 here in the 7th inning. The pitch, curve, swing, and a miss. Skaggs got him. And that's 7 good-looking innings for a 22-year-old here tonight. He's had to weave in and out of trouble sometimes, but he does so here. A mild threat goes by the boards. 1 hit, 1 left. Tied at 4 to the bottom of the 7th now on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda.
Injured, the Rothenberg Law Firm will be there for you. They treat their clients like family. Call 1-800-624-8888.
Well, the Mets bullpen has been airtight since the first few games of the season. Torres trying to keep it that way. Here's a 1-0. Big rip and a miss by Kendrick. It's 1-1. Normally a good contact hitter. Here's the second baseman, Howie Kendrick. He was on the trade block all winter, but never went anywhere. The genesis of the good contact for Kendrick. He used to play a game in his backyard back in Florida called Strikeout with a broom handle and the burrs that would fall off the big tree in the backyard. You'd have to hit those burrs with a broom handle. Swing and a miss, 1-2. To keep your at-bat alive in that game, you had to hit these gumball-sized burrs that were being pitched at you from close range. Kendrick says the alternative was standing around waiting your turn, which was boring and hot because it's the panhandle of Florida in the summer.
And remember now, it's burrs, B-U-R-R.
Yes, not birds.
Yeah.
That would be unfortunate. The 1-2. Fastball outside, 2-2. Callahan, Florida. Population 900. That's where Howie Kendrick is from. He wasn't drafted out of high school. Only one junior college even showed any interest. And here he is now in his 7th year as an Angel. 1 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Torres setting. He rocks and he fires. Swing and a miss. Down he goes. Better go get the broomstick. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. We're at the end of 7 here in Anaheim. We're tied at 4 on the WOR Mets Radio Network.
Are your local painter with over 25 local offices throughout the tri-state area and references from your neighbors. CertaPro painters proudly use premium.
Oh, there was no question about his getting down to second base with the time it took Iannetta to come up with that ball.
The ball actually hit the right foot of the home plate umpire Manny Gonzalez and therefore stayed right there for Iannetta to go and get.
So 2 out, Murphy at second. Here's Granderson. First pitch, fastball low outside, ball 1. Murphy was not running on the pitch, but he recognized instantly the ball in the dirt, which goes as a wild pitch. Granderson 1 out of 3. The pitch to him, a fastball outside, throw down to second, safe at second base, and Murphy took a very interesting route back to second base. Instead of going in a straight line, he had actually been in front of second base, at least in terms of depth perception you would try to imagine. So he actually was scampering back somewhat diagonally along the infield grass.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one. You're right. He went at kind of a 45-degree angle into the bag, and I think it actually surprised Ibar once he got there.
2-0 to Granderson. Here's the pitch by Smith. Fastball ripped towards first, foul. He just got out in front. That would have given the Mets the lead had it been fair. But Murphy back to second with a count 2-1. And Ike Davis has come out on deck to bat for Josh Seton with a right-hander, Joe Smith on the mound. There's one lefty in the Angels bullpen, Nick Morundi. Right now it's the righty Smith against the left-hand hitting Granderson. 4-4 game, 2 out in the 8th. Murphy at second, 2-1 pitch. Breaking ball over, strike 2 called.
You know, the Mets bullpen, we talked about how he was awful that first series, but then immediately got better. The Angels bullpen was awful the first series and then got worse. Their bullpen's already allowed 7 home runs.
Smith, though, has been unscathed to this point. Now he turns back towards second, chasing Murphy back. It's impossible to look at Joe Smith and try to reconcile the fact that he's 30 years old.
Right.
He was a baby-faced kid when he came up in 07. 2-2 pitch, fastball foul back over the screen. Right out of the hands of a fan sitting in the front row of the second deck. And now someone will have a much easier play down in the lower level to just pick it up and say, look what I found.
Right. He's a giver, that guy, with a backwards cap on.
He's going to give himself an ulcer the way he's complaining about his own bad hands. 2-2 to Granderson. Smith delivers. Breaking ball in the dirt, ball 3. Nice play by Iannetta, sliding to his right. I mean, the fan who just failed to come up with that foul ball on the second deck was looking downstairs as though he was pleading with the fan who picked it up to throw it up to him, as though he somehow had dibs on it. Right. Doesn't work that way. Granderson trying to get the Mets in front here. They've out-hit the Angels 10-7. The score tied at 4. 3 infielders on the right side of the diamond. The second baseman Kendrick out in short right field. Murphy not too big a lead at second. 3-2 the count to Granderson with Ike Davis on deck and out time called. Every one of Granderson's hits have gone for extra bases. Homer and 4 doubles. Here's the pitch. Murphy runs. Ground ball to the right side. Charging in from the outfield grass. Kendrick. He's got it and throws out Granderson. Side retired. So the Mets waste a leadoff hit for the second time in 3 innings. 1 hit, 1 left. Middle of the 8th. All tied. Mets 4, Angels 4 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by...
For support, that's airfasttickets.com, the official travel partner of the Mets Radio Network. airfasttickets.com.
Let's make a couple of changes as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning in a 4-4 tie. Ike Davis comes on to play first base. And he bats Josh Satton's spot, which is 6th in the order. Ike will lead off the 9th. And Gonzalez Herman comes on to pitch. Of course, with a pitcher not batting, there's no double switch. Herman and Farnsworth had been throwing. The reason it's Herman is because the Mets are on the road. The score is tied. Farnsworth primarily has become the 8th inning man. And right here, in a situation where you've got a tie game on the road, should it stay that way, you know, the manager of any visiting team is very reluctant to use his closer in a tie game on the road, because he wants to have him available to close if his team takes the lead in the top of whatever inning it might be. So he just wants to push everybody back a bit. And that'll be Gonzalez Herman to work the 8th inning. Good outing by Carlos Torres, an inning and a third. He gave up 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. He struck out Mike Trout with 2 on to keep the game tied when he came in the 6th inning. And now Herman will face J.B. Schuck, who's the reason the game is tied. Honest error. First pitch taken low, 1 ball and no strikes. That's what happens when you don't sleep.
That was an accident waiting to happen anyway.
It probably was. But in any event, Schuck with a 2-run home run off of Dylan G. tied the game in the 6th inning. The 1-0 on the way, taken for a called strike, a fastball, 1-1. Now, this isn't going to end well, is it?
No. There's 60 different ways this could go now, none of them very good. So
I was referring to a writer from the Baltimore Sun.
Oh, yeah, Peter Schmuck.
Right. The 1-1 hit in the air to right field, pretty deep down the line. Over comes Granderson. He makes the catch right in front of the fence, in front of the foul pole. And he's jawing with a fan in the crowd who might have reached out trying to grab that ball or might have taken a poke at Granderson. And Curtis Granderson, who's one of the fan-friendliest players in the big leagues, you know, gets involved in a conversation, nothing more. That fan, I don't know, I guess he tried to, he grabbed back, I guess, and tried to yank the ball from Granderson as Curtis was getting set to throw it back into the infield. Fan looked like he was apologizing. Granderson and he engaged in continued conversation.
Yeah, the fan immediately retreated, but that fan reached out to touch Granderson, and it was, I think, the fan, and it's a very poor judgment, but the fan, I think, says to himself, there's Curtis Granderson, the real one, right in front of me. He's right there. I'm going to touch him. And I don't blame Curtis Granderson. He whirled around and said, hey! Because that's not cool, and there is security there now.
Chris Iannetta takes a fastball that's low and bounces off the glove of Travis d'Arnaud. Getting another look at it now. Granderson made the catch without any interference from a fan reaching over while the ball was in play. But then, as you pointed out, the fan, he didn't exactly tap him on the shoulder either. The 1-0 swung out and missed a fastball, 1-1.
No, I mean, he put his hand right on his shoulder because he could. And I'm sure he just wasn't thinking clearly. Now there's all kinds of security there. And I'd be stunned if this fan's allowed to stay in the ballpark, even though he was, it looked like, trying to apologize to Granderson, who simply called him out.
Here's the 1-1 pitch by Herman. That's popped up foul coming back into the seats out of play. it looked like, and I'm not 100% sure about this, there might have been a young fan with that older fan who actually did touch Granderson sitting out in right field. So I don't know if they're giving him a warning or not. They're still conversing down there. And the count 1-2. I think they're going to toss him. 1-2 fastball outside. Ball 2. 2-2.
I don't know, frankly, what it says on the back of your ticket, but to me that's just common sense. Don't touch the ball players, even if it's in a friendly sort of way.
So the 2-2 to Iannetta. Skips in front of home plate and back to the backstop. Full count.
Adam Jones would have you tased.
Yes. Well, they've already done that. That was in Philadelphia some years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Adam Jones who, reacting to a fan running on the field at Yankee Stadium.
All right, now I've lost sympathy for this guy, by the way.
Payoff pitch to Iannetta. Check swing at a pitch in the dirt. It's ball 4.
And I'll tell you why, because he is leaving the stadium, and he's doing that little hero's walk. He's got his hands in the air and being a big shot. And all right, I'm out on that guy now. I mean, that's, you know, you've done something you should feel a little embarrassed about. Shouldn't be bragging about it.
Colin Cowgill, the former Met, has come on to run for Chris Iannetta at first base. Cowgill, he of the opening day grand slam last year, now runs for Iannetta, representing the go-ahead run in a 4-4 game here in the 8th inning. Eric Ibar, the batter. So David Wright shortens up at third. Ibar 1 for 3. A throw to first by her man. And Cowgill dives back safely. Gonzalez Herman is making his 5th appearance. In 5 1/3 innings coming in, he's allowed 2 hits and a run, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. Remember, he gave up back-to-back doubles to the first hitters he faced. Pitch to Ibar, swing and a bouncing ball wide of short. Tejada in the hole, has it, fires to second for the force play. No return to first by Murphy, and they get the lead runner Cowgill at second. 2 men away, and Cole Calhoun coming up.
Cole Calhoun has got to feel like the bad comedian that opens up the set for the more famous acts. Cole Calhoun, he is 7 for 37. Nobody really knows who he is, and he just happens to set up for Mike Trout and Albert Pujols in his batting order.
Which is why it's kind of hard to fathom that he could have walked twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Each of his last 2 plate appearances, with men already on base and Trout due up next, Calhoun walked. Whatever it is, under those circumstances, you can't walk him. Herman throws to first, and back standing is Eric Ibar. You know, it's kind of an old baseball joke when scouts are talking about certain players. If you've got a weak hitter up there and you say, how do we want to pitch him? Scouting report says, don't walk him. Well, now Terry Collins is walking out towards the mound. I think he wants to bring his whole infield in for a conversation here. He hasn't pointed to the, well, he did. He just pointed to the bullpen. He's going to take the ball from Herman. And so Scott Rice will come into the game to try to get the left-hander Calhoun. With 2 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning, the score tied at 4, and this pitching change. Well, Scott Rice comes into the game with a runner at first, 2 out, 4-4 on the bottom of the 8th. Rice is in a hot spot, but don't you sweat it. Luxair will keep you cozy all season long. The Luxair dealer is a proud sponsor of Make-A-Wish. So Cole Calhoun, who has walked twice in this game, Mike Trout on deck. And you can bet that this will be a 1-batter assignment from Southern Californian Scott Rice. He only had to leave 8 tickets today. But he's in a tough spot here. He's got to get Calhoun and keep Trout out of this for now. First pitch way inside, a fastball, ball 1.
All 5 of the Californians for the Mets have been in the game now. Calhoun stays in the game because, at least so we hear, he's as good against left-hand pitching as he is against right-hand pitching. That goes back to his time in the minor leagues. They have pinch-hitting possibilities to the Angels. They won't use them.
Rice to the belt. Ibar leads from first. Now the pitch. Swing and a looper to shallow right. That's going to fall into right center for a base hit. Turning second. On his way to third. Ibar, Lagares' throw. The tag. Safe. The ball is dropped by David Wright. Rice backs up. Picks it up quickly. That will hold the runner Calhoun at first. Runners at the corners. They had a play. It was Juan Lagares coming up throwing. And If David Wright holds on to that ball, we're getting a look at a replay now. I think they would have had Ibar.
I think Wright got spiked, Howie. I think that he got knocked off of the bag by the incoming Ibar, and the ball just dripped away. And, boy, if Ibar bothered to read the scouting report before the game, he's got to know you don't run on Lagares.
With Trout up next, especially.
It's ridiculous. But the Angels get a huge break when Ibar comes in there, kind of spikes high, and the ball falls out of the glove of David Wright.
So Rice will depart, and I would imagine, although we couldn't see into the bullpen in this game, and he is inheriting as tough a spot as you can. 4-4, runners at the corners, 2 out, and Mike Trout coming up. Now Trout homered his first time up, then Dylan G caught him looking, then he flied to left. That was a ball that was actually Juan Lagares is at center, but Eric Young cut in front of him, caught the ball. They didn't miss colliding by much. And then Trout struck out in the 6th inning against Carlos Torres. Each of those last 2 at-bats coming with men on base. But right now, here in the last of the 8th, in a 4-4 game, Farnsworth, who's been terrific, makes his 6th appearance. No one-loss record, a 1.69 earned run average. Right-hander against right-hander. Eric Ibar, the runner at third, and fortunately so for the Angels because of that throw that was dropped by David Wright after Ibar went into him. Cole Calhoun at first, and here's the first pitch from Farnsworth to Trout. It's on the way. Swing and a pop foul coming back into the seats upstairs behind home plate. 0-1. Albert Pujols is on deck. That's a handful in itself, but Farnsworth will try to empty it all against Mike Trout here. The outfield essentially straight away against him. Lagares, the center fielder, maybe a step to the opposite side. Eric Young tightened up a bit in left field, giving himself a chance on a potential flare. That out time is called. Paid crowd tonight. 42,871. Quite a few of whom in typical Southern California style have left early. And those who did are missing a pivotal point in this game. 0-1 to Trout. Now Farnsworth sets at the belt. Here's the pitch. Fastball low. 1-1.
Well, a very interesting, eventful, strange inning. Starting with Curtis Granderson being touched by an Angels fan anyway, in that right field corner. That guy got ejected. We saw yet another walk to Chris Iannetta. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but it happened. And then a play at third base that could have gotten the Mets' way, but didn't when the ball came loose.
Well, the only other time Farnsworth faced Mike Trout, he struck him out. Here it's 1-1. And the pitch on the way. 2. Farnsworth has walked 1 batter over the 5 1/3 innings that he's worked so far. As the Mets bullpen tries to keep this tied here in the 8th inning. 4 1/3 scoreless by Farnsworth in his last 4 games, but remember he's inherited runners at the corners. The 2-1 pitch. Off the outside corner, ball 3. So 3-1. And again, whatever happens here, the next batter is Albert Pujols. And Pujols is 8 for 24 with 4 home runs against Kyle Farnsworth. 3-1 to Trout. Here's the pitch. Runner goes from first. It's low. Ball 4. The bases are loaded, and Albert Pujols coming up against a pitcher he's had tons of success against.
Pujols, the owner of a dozen career Grand Slams, but doesn't have one yet as an Angel. And again this year, as an Angel, does not have a hit with a runner in scoring position. He is 0 for 10.
So here it is. All 3 runners will measure leads against Pujols, knowing that they don't budge beyond that until Pujols swings the bat. So Farnsworth working from the stretch with the bases loaded. The first pitch to Pujols. Down the middle of the knees, a called strike. It's 0-1. David Wright not too far off the line at third. Now the center fielder Lagares has shaded an extra step to the opposite side against Pujols from where he was against Trout. Murphy and Tejada. The middle infielders are set back at the edge of the outfield grass. Farnsworth ready. The 0-1 to Pujols. Fastball. That's a called strike at the knees. On the outer edge, and it's 0-2. El Hombre, they call him. The man was Stan Musial in St. Louis. El Hombre, its interpretation in Spanish. And El Hombre might have a point if he didn't like that call. Just looking at a replay, that pitch was down. Or so it appeared, but Manny Gonzalez helping Farnsworth out. So now it's 0-2 with 2 men away. Farnsworth comes set. Checks third. Now the pitch to Pujols. Swinging a ground ball to third. Right fields it behind the bag. Straightens and throws to first in time. Side retired. So Farnsworth winds up walking Trout. Gets Pujols to ground out. And for the second time in this game, the Angels leave the bases loaded. No runs, 1 hit, 3 men left at the end of 8. The Mets 4, the Angels 4 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven.
Attention, this is not a drill. The Spring Into a Honda sales event is going on.
After the game.
Howie Rose, Josh Lewin with you at Angel Stadium in Anaheim. On to the 9th inning, brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Satisfy your late night cravings at B-Dubs, where their kitchen won't close until they do. Go to BuffaloWildWings.com to find your nearest location. Buffalo Wild Wings, Wings Beer Sports. New catcher is Hank Conger. The new pitcher is the closer, Ernesto Frieri. Kid from Columbia who takes over in this 4-4 game. That is the country Columbia, not the university. Frieri acquired from the San Diego Padres a couple of years ago, facing Ike Davis to lead off the ninth. And the first pitch to Ike, a fastball missed outside, 1-0. Ike now the first baseman, of course, having replaced Josh Satin there. Davis has had 13 at-bats with 4 hits, including that grand slam. He has 5 runs batted in. Outfield deep. And Frieri's 1-0. Swing and a miss. Fastball at 93 miles an hour. And the count 1-1 to Davis. After Ike, Juan Lagares, Travis d'Arnaud due up here in the top of the 9th inning. It's the Angels closer. Picked up his first save of the season on Wednesday in Seattle. Frieri to the belt. Now the 1-1 pitch. Fastball fouled back to the screen. It's 1-2. Frieri has pitched 3 innings, given up 2 hits and 2 runs. Alexi Amarista was sent by the Angels to San Diego in exchange for Frieri 2 years ago. Last year, Frieri got into 67 games, had 37 saves for the Angels. Infield setback. And the 1-2 to Davis. Swinging a high pop foul, coming back into the seats between home and third upstairs.
Well, Frieri's a guy that allowed 11 home runs last year. And only very recently did he get around to saying that, you know, it might be a good idea if I just stop trying to throw fastballs all the time. It's like, really? Maybe the pitching coach probably told you that too at some point, guy.
Full disclosure. 1-2 to Davis. Frieri sets and delivers. Fastball hit in the air to deep right center. Going back Trout. He'll have a play right at the edge of the warning track. Actually a stride in from the track as he makes the catch.
It's possible, Howie, that if this was a day game, that ball's off the wall. The ball really travels much, much differently here at this stadium in daytime hours. That cool air here in Southern California is kind of settled, and it takes a shot to get it out.
Well, Ike gave it a good ride, but one long out. And Juan Lagares coming up. Lagares singled in the second, grounded to first in the fourth, grounded to short in the seventh. 1-1 to Travis d'Arnaud.
That's the maturation of Frieri that we're talking about. d'Arnaud has already hit a fastball out for a home run tonight. Soft stuff to start him here.
1-1 the count. Outfield deep and straight away. Now the pitch. Fastball. That's on the outside corner. 1-2. So Frieri trying to get the Angels through this top of the ninth and give them a chance in the bottom half, a strike away from getting them there. 1-2 to d'Arnaud. Pitch. Fastball in there. Strike 3 call. d'Arnaud doesn't think so, but that retires the side. Travis can't argue too much here. He's the catcher, and he may need a call in the bottom of the ninth inning. As he talks about it with Manny Gonzalez, the inning over. 2 strikeouts for Friari. The Mets go in order. And in the middle of the ninth inning, the Mets 4, the Angels 4 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your truck
sales. You wake up one morning and there's no place to go. So you really do.
Here's the 2-0. Ibanez takes high and tight, ball 3, and Mets don't need this. Familia falling behind the leadoff batter in a tie game, 3-0. Deals. Fastball. It's in for a called strike. And maybe Travis d'Arnaud, either with his sympathy or what he said at the end of the top of the inning, bought a pitch there, because that was borderline up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that actually was up and in, it looked like. And frankly, Manny Gonzalez has not had a good night behind the plate tonight.
So 3-1 to Ibanez. Familia sets of the shoulders. Here's the pitch. Fastball chopped foul. First base side over by the dugout. And now Familia has fought it back to a full count.
Well, the 97-mile-an-hour fastball running in on Ibanez right there.
That's what they love about Familia. You know, he'd been a starter in the Mets minor league system. Eventually transitioned to the pen because of that lively arm, although it did need surgery last year. 3-2 the count. Now the payoff pitch to Ibanez. Fastball inside, ball 4. He walked him. And the winning run is on with nobody out. So the Mets, who have not drawn any walks offensively, have now allowed 8 of them from their pitchers to the Angels. And 1-1 to Freeze. Ibanez not too big a lead at first. Familia sets at the letters. The pitch. Swing and a fly ball well hit to center. Playable for Lagares. He's right there, and he makes the catch for the first out. Ibanez trots back to first.
Freeze took his bat all the way with him to first base.
Kendrick to still be here at this point would have been shocked if you would have told them the answer would be yes. Now the 1-0 pitch. Fastball chopped slowly to short. Charged by Tejada. Gloves it. Throws behind him to second and just gets the force play, forcing Murphy to do 2 things. Stretch in towards the infield and ultimately snow cone the throw. But they get it done. 6-4 on the fielder's choice to get the lead runner. Kendrick safe at first. There are 2 men away. No return throw is made by Murphy.
Boy, Murphy really did need to clench that glove really hard to make sure there wouldn't be any kind of bobble. You snow cone and you let that ball slip. You can get a call at second base is safe real easy right there. So that's actually a strong wrist. Strong left wrist of Murphy saving that play.
So here is J.B. Shuck, who hit a 2-run homer in the 6th inning and is the reason this game is still going. That's led 4-2 at that point. But Shuck wound up taking Dylan G deep. 2 more homers off of Dylan tonight. He's allowed 5 now in 19 2/3 innings. Kendrick at first. A quick throw by Familia, and Kendrick slides back safely. That crowd is really thinned out from the 42,000 that were here at the start. At least that's what was announced. 1-1 the count. Kendrick runs. The pitch hit on the ground to second. Charged by Murphy. He's got it. Tosses to first in time. We're headed to extra innings. So Familia works around that leadoff walk. No runs, no hits. A walk. 1 man left at the end of 9 innings. It's the Mets 4, the Angels 4 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by
live customer support. That's airfasttickets.com, the official travel partner of the Mets Radio Network. airfasttickets.com.
Well, if the Mets were tired before this one after the long flight overnight, well, they'll just go on fumes as this game continues, because now we head to the 10th inning in a 4-4 tie. Wendy's News. So a tie game, they'll play extra innings. Of course, they could just have a home run hitting contest to end it. Oh, that would be stupid, you say? Well, anyway.
Tell the NHL, right?
I don't know. I'm just saying that would be kind of a silly idea, I think.
How about a dance-off?
Why, you know anybody who's real good on their on their feet here?
No, you and me against Terry Smith and Mark Langston next door.
Well, you get a professional athlete like Langston in there, you can't win.
Mark is definitely from California. If you've seen that spoof on SNL about the Californians, he's Devin. Here's Ruben Tejada, and Salas will deal on the outside corner, strike one. The former Cardinal, Fernando Salas, 24 saves in 2011. But then he had an erratic kind of Frankie Francisco-like 2012 and fell out of favor there. He and David Freese coming this way in their offseason deal. Tejada batting ninth in the order tonight. Waves and misses. He's behind 0-2. Of course, this is an American League park. Therefore, the DH. I always thought that was backwards, by the way. If you're going to mix it up like that, have a DH in the National League park. Let those fans who never get to see what it's like to have a game with a DH, let them get that for 9 times a year.
I'd never thought of that, and I first heard it advanced just about 2 years ago, and I kind of like it.
I mean, American League fans, they see the DH all the time. They don't care. The 0-2 pitch is taken just outside, a ball, 2 strikes. Not that I love the DH myself, but...
No, I'm not a proponent of it either, but I do agree with your point that it'd be a different look for fans who aren't used to it. Tell you one thing, it's a lot easier to score a game with a designated hitter. No double switches to deal with.
You save on whiteout.
Easier to manage, too, I would guess.
1-2 pitch taken, snug. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Tejada, who is 1 out of 3 tonight. Had a single with a couple strikes on him in the 7th inning. Terry Collins returned to Anaheim. He was managing the Angels back when they wore those periwinkle colors in the late 90s.
The Disney uniform.
Yeah, they Disneyed them all up.
What were they thinking?
Yeah, Terry says he hated those colors. The 2-2. Lobbed outside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. They were big into ownership then, was big into that vest look. They have the kind of the jersey with the cutoff sleeves, so they wear that bluish tinted undershirt under those periwinkle pinstripe uniforms.
And very cartoonish lettering, too.
Tied at 4 in the 10th. Here's a 3-2 to Tejada. He swings and he fouls it right off the catcher's mask. Top of the order on deck, Eric Young Jr., then Daniel Murphy. The Mets have out-hit the Angels 10-8. So why have the Angels left 8 more runners on than the Mets? Glad you asked. Because the Mets have walked a lot of Angels tonight. Meantime, the Mets are looking to draw their very first walk of the night here in the 10th inning. Outfield straightaway for Tejada. The 3-2 pitch. He swings and he hits it in the air to right center field. Easy pickings for Trout. Makes the catch in right center. And when Tejada muscles up like that, that's seldom a good thing. You've got 2 career Major League home runs. One of them was on the West Coast. That against Matt Cain in San Francisco. But you want that number 9 hitter up there thinking, I'm going to just get that ball on the ground and run, ideally.
Mike Davis is a power hitter, for example. And on the Angels side, David Freese, a power hitter. And they both hit the ball pretty well. And balls that did not carry as well as you pointed out, they would have in the afternoon or even on a more humid night later in the year, although they don't get that kind of humidity out here routinely. But yeah, Tejada's got to keep it out of the air.
Young batting left-handed, and he'll swing and miss. It's 0-1. Salas took something off it. Phillies beat Miami 6-3. Jose Fernandez, for a very unusual circumstance, was not too sharp in this one. Lasted only 4 innings. Here's a kick in the 0-1, taken low, ball and a strike. Interleague, you had Tampa Bay over Cincinnati 2-1. David Price outdueling Johnny Cueto. Matt Joyce and Joey Votto trading home runs. And the Braves got to walk it off against Washington 7-6 in 10. 1-1 delivery. Young swings and he carves it foul back this way, 1-2. How about Justin Upton now 7 for his last 8 at bats with 3 home runs. And he had the game-winning hit in the 10th inning. Mets were on the receiving end of Justin Upton's prowess yesterday at 2 home runs.
Braves would love to get his brother going, wouldn't they?
Chipper Jones was on the field working with B.J. Upton before the game yesterday. Not sure how the Atlanta hitting coach felt about that necessarily. 1-2. Swinging a foul straight back, and we'll do it again. Milwaukee stays hot at 7 straight wins for the Brew Crew. 4-2 over Pittsburgh. And back when the Brewers were playing in the American League, they and the Angels faced off in the playoffs one time. Here's a 1-2. Swing another foul ball, swept up the first base line. They had some pretty bad luck to these Angels in the postseason for a long time. And finally broke through in 2002, winning in Game 7. And there was a guy that's on the field tonight that was in that game, had 2 at-bats for the losing team. That's the Mets first base coach, Tom Goodwin.
Whose Giants were leading Game 6 rather handily at one point. Remember when Dusty Baker took the ball from Russ Ortiz, basically congratulated him as though they were about to win the World Series?
1-2 pitch. Young swings and can't get it. Down it goes. So now 2 out. Murphy coming up. Mentioned that Angels-Brewers series. That was an ALCS back in '79. And well, the Angels were up 2-0 in a best-of-5. All they needed was to beat the Brewers once at County Stadium. Couldn't do it. In fact, Game 5, they out-hit the Brewers 11-6. The Brewers made 4 errors that day, and the Angels still lost. And still never made it to a World Series until 2002. So now Murphy, the left-hand batter, who was 2 out of 4 tonight, and he strokes one in the air to left, hovers up there for Shuck. And he's got it. One-hand grab over his right shoulder. Inning quickly over. Bottom of the 10th coming up here in Anaheim. And we're tied at 4. This is the Mets Radio Network, the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri Honda dealer.
Quits for help, and if qualified, a free nicotine replacement starter pack. That's 1-866-697-8487.
Wendy's new salads are irresistible with flavors like barbecue ranch chicken featuring fire-roasted corn and applewood smoked bacon, or the new under 400-calorie Asian cashew chicken with roasted edamame. Jump around. Jump around, Madge. House of Pain. Late night House of Pain here in Anaheim. 1:30 in the a.m. East Coast time. Thank you so much for staying up with us. And, you know, jump around. Rally Monkey was doing that on the scoreboard again. Been doing a lot of that. These fans have been trying to will their Angels to a lead. They had one early, way back when, in the second inning at 2-1. Mets tied it in the third on a Travis d'Arnaud homer. Took the lead on a Josh Satin 2 RBI double at 4-2 in the fourth. The Angels came back on a surprising home run by J.B. Shuck in the bottom of the 6th inning. That tied it at 4, and we're exactly right there still. Now, as we jump around into the bottom of the 10th inning. And Hank Conger will bat for the first time. Switch hitter batting left against Jairus Familia, who's been part of just an Aces bullpen over the last week or so. Pitches outside off the glove of d'Arnaud, 1-0. It's now 19 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings for this once beleaguered bullpen. Conger, who's from just about 15 minutes away, well, 15 miles, not 15 minutes. You need a helicopter to get here in that amount of time from Huntington Beach. .375 hitter for the young season. The 1-0 right there at the knees, 1-1. Conger's parents are Chinese. His given name is Hyun Choi Conger. He's a career 300 hitter, or pretty close to that in the minors, but just .222 in the majors. Outfield a step back for him. 1-1 pitch, a big rip and a miss. It's 1-2. Familia's been lighting up that radar gun at 97. Conger, then Ibar, and then Calhoun. And then the big kids get out of school. Trout and Pujols after that. So it's pretty easy to spell this one out. You got to keep these guys off the bases so that Trout and Pujols don't get to swing. On 1-2, here it comes, way outside, 2-2. If you're a catcher for the Angels, you really kind of come under fire from the manager, because Mike Scioscia was one of the great ones. And he does not tolerate fools easily. He doesn't tolerate anything sloppy behind the plate. You better know what you're doing back there. 2-2 pitch. Swing a drive to right field. Granderson going over. Makes a running catch in the corner. 1 out in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Well, I know there have been some home runs hit in this game. And that ball might have been up the end of the bat just a little bit from Conger. But there have been some balls hit hard in the air to the outfield in the last couple of innings that have died, essentially. So that air appears to be a little thicker out there right now. And the ball not traveling as well as it did earlier.
Here is Eric Ibar, the switch hitting at shortstop. And when he first came up, some scouts talked about him like a new generation Gary Templeton. Right, well off the line at third. Here's a pitch from Familia. Bunt is shown. Strike is taken at the knees. 0-1. Templeton famously dealt from the Cardinals to the Padres for Ozzie Smith. Oops. Pitch from Familia. Swing and a miss, and it gets away from d'Arnaud. It's 0-2.
And then perhaps even more famously when he was hoping to become the starting shortstop in the All-Star game and instead was named as a reserve. He refused to go and uttered the classic line, "If I ain't starting, I ain't departing."
That's one of the great
ones. That was
ones.
outstanding.
Tied at 4 in the 10th. The pitch. Bouncing ball off the back of the mound. Base hit into center field for Ibar. Shortstop Tejada lunging at it. So now, to the top of the order. And if Cole Calhoun is not the hero, if he can just stay out of a double play, it will come to Mike Trout in this inning. Cole Calhoun out of Arizona State has been on base 3 times in this one. The 7th inning.
As if by appointment.
Tossed to first and back in on his stomach is Ibar. Crowd started out at 42,871. And most of those are on the 5 right now, or the 55 or the 57, or the 405 or the 22. Calhoun with a couple of home runs this young season. Two-toned bat in his hands, waiting on Familia. In a 4-4 game, last of the 10th, 1 on, 1 out. Runner goes, and a high fly ball skied to shallow left center. Tejada back, but Young's coming on. It's his play. Makes the catch up over his left shoulder. It's 2 down, but now it's Mike Trout. Trout homered back in the first inning, and he's been held in check since then. 2 Major League seasons, 2 second-place MVP finishes for this guy. And the Sabermetrics crowd argues he got jobbed both times. Howie mentioned earlier, he and Willie Mays, the 2 players with consecutive seasons of a .320 batting average, 25 jacks, and 30 steals. Big, powerful right-hander with 1 on, 2 out in the pitch. A strike at the knees, 0-1.
And one other comparison that should not be forgotten is that they were and are both stupendously good outfielders. You know, Willie Mays, just one of the greatest all-around players who's ever played the game, and Mike Trout is just a phenomenal defender as well as he is a hitter.
Outfield very deep, but throw to first. And back in again is Ibar. He's got speed and strength and great instincts, and for a guy as thick as he is, it's astounding that he's so fast and so agile. 4-4 game in the bottom of the 10th. Ibar, very good speed, takes that lead from first. Mets outfielders trying to prevent a double over their heads. The pitch, swing a chopper foul right to the on-deck batter Pujols, who knocks it down. It's 0-2. Rookie season, reaching base 40% of the time. 65 extra base hits. Sophomore season, he gets on 43% of the time. 75 extra base hits. Big, beefy New Jersey native waiting on Familia in a 4-4 game for the last of the 10th. On 0-2, here's the pitch. Taken just outside of ball 2 strikes. 98 mile an hour buzzing near that outside corner. And Trout will step out of the box. We got Pujols waiting to bat next. The man who's closing in on 500 career home runs. Darno will hang the sign. And it's looking like he wants a fastball. Wiggling that finger. And now time called. Trout will back away. Kind of pushing that pinky a little bit from his left to his right, meaning want that fastball to the outside part of the plate. Let's see if Jarris can get it there. On 1-2, runner goes. The pitch swung on and lifted foul to the right side. He got it right where Darno wanted it, and at 98 miles an hour. Ibar will come on back.
That's the thing that Terry Collins instantly loved about Familia as his biggest selling point in becoming a reliever. He'd been primarily a starter in the Mets organization. They brought him up a few years ago, and the Mets are in St. Louis, and he lit up that radar gun, and Terry said, this is the kind of arm we need towards the back end of that bullpen. Injuries have slowed his progress.
Speaking of slow, time requested. Trout getting tired of waiting on Familia. Backs out, takes a practice cut. 1-2 with a runner on, 2 out. 4-4 game in the bottom of the 10th. The Angels haven't led this game since 2-1 in the second inning. Again, the outfield very deep. Here's a 1-2 pitch. Swinging a tapper off the mound and a center base hit. Center fielder Lagar is playing back, but he's coming on and will hold Ibar at second base, who has learned his lesson. Lagar has charged it quickly enough that Ibar, though he wanted to get to third, slammed on the brakes. Here's Pujols now. Runners at first and second, 2 away. Well, at least he kept Trout on the ground. And Lagares, he really had a long way to come as deep as he was playing to field it and fire and hold Ibar. Pujols hit the ball in the air in the first and the third. Flied to right and flied to center. Since then, a walk and a single. And then in a big spot in the 8th inning, he bounced out. That was with the bases loaded. Got 2 on here. He can win the game with a single to the outfield. The speedy Ibar, a big lead off a second. A look back at him. Here's the pitch to Pujols. A swing and a little tapper pass. And near the mound, Familia's got it. He will underhand to first, and Pujols is retired. So are the Angels. Never did get over the mound. Jarris Familia stepped in front of it. And we will go to the 11th. 4 runs, 10 hits, no errors both ways. Although the Angels have stranded 14 and the Mets have stranded 4. All 4s heading to the 11th on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Wendy's presents a case of mixed greens.
Tom?
Yeah?
Are you eating my Wendy's barbecue ranch chicken salad?
Wendy's new salads are irresistible. You knew that, but we just want to reinforce it with flavors like barbecue ranch chicken featuring fire-roasted corn and applewood smoked bacon, or the new under 400-calorie Asian cashew chicken with roasted edamame. If they'd like to deliver some edamame to the booth right now, I'd say that would be a capital idea.
You didn't gorge yourself on that spread upstairs before the game? They didn't have edamame, I understand.
No, I had my share. And
I'm glad I brought down my emergency backup sandwich. I had like a half a pastrami thinking, just in case this thing goes something like 11, backup pastrami is a good idea. Good band name, too.
Well, there's a banana the size of Nebraska that's in my booth here.
I got one of those, too. You on a duel?
Well, it's supposed to be breakfast.
Oh.
But it's getting towards breakfast time. Here's Ibanez. The lead off the last of the 11th. The first pitch. Familia hits the outside corner with a fastball 0-1. And again, the infield is overshifted to the right. Ibanez has struck out twice, grounded to first, hit into a fielder's choice, and then Familia, starting the bottom of the 9th inning, walked Ibanez, leading off the inning. came back to get the next 3. Outfield really, really deep. Here's the 0-1. Fastball at the knees, a called strike, 0-2. A 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Ibanez thought the ball was down, and tell you what, Manny Gonzalez has not made a whole lot of friends as the home plate umpire in this game.
Nope. This is now the longest relief effort at the big league level for Familia.
0-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Fastball looped to right. That's hooking foul. One hops the sidewall. Caught cleanly by the ball boy. The count's still 0-2. Raul Ibanez still 2 hits away from the 2,000 milestone. One above the 300 mark. 301 lifetime homers for Ibanez. Former Yankee, Philly, Royal, and Mariner. The 0-2 pitch. Fastball ripped towards right over the glove of a leaping Murphy. And into right field. Fielded by Granderson in front of the warning track, who fires back in. And Ibanez found a way through the shift because he hit it pretty well where Murphy was stationed, but just high enough so that Murph, even at the top of his leap, was unable to reach it, although he didn't come all that far from it.
No, he was essentially doing a jumping jack out there in the short recesses of right field.
Well,
and again, Familia is going to have to go from the stretch. It's been a kind of a constant for him.
Well, let's see what the Angels do now. Freese is 0 for 5. He could be asked to bunt. You've got Kendrick, a right-hand batter, and then Schuck, a left-handed hitter who has a home run in this game behind him. So we'll see. David Wright right at the edge of the grass at third. Familia deals. No inclination to bunt, but the pitch is in the dirt. It goes to the backstop. And that will get Ibanez to second. The winning run is in scoring position with nobody out, and that should be a wild pitch charged to Familia.
And it could be the precursor to a bunt now. Go ahead and get that man to third with 1 out, where a fly ball from Kendrick could win it.
Yeah, which means then you have to do some things defensively which really help the hitter. You've got to move the infield and the outfield in that situation. So now the Mets have to be thinking that bunt is more likely here, but still David Wright at the edge of the grass at third. 1-0 to Freese. The pitch, full swing, ground ball slowly to short. Runner crossing over. Tejada will throw to first in time. It works as well as a sacrifice for the Angels because Ibanez gets to third. 1 man out. The winning run now 90 feet away. And let's see how the Mets play it. You've got Kendrick, a right-handed batter, then Schuck, a left-handed hitter, and then a switch hitter, Hank Conger. The Mets going to have to move the infield and the outfield in. We'll just see whether or not they even bother pitching to Kendrick here. Just waiting to get a sign from the dugout. Travis d'Arnaud looking in to see if they're going to pitch to him or not. d'Arnaud will extend the arm for the intentional walk. Familia's got to be careful here. The first one is high because some pitchers are just not comfortable in these situations walking batters intentionally, and with that winning run on third, it just puts more pressure on the pitcher, and you saw it. Well, it hurt it anyway, trust us. So this is no gimme. Here's the 1-0 and the intentional second ball thrown properly by Familia. And then, of course, d'Arnaud short hops Familia with a throw back to the mound.
It's always something.
A lot of tired people out there. The 2-0, he just guides it away for ball 3. So you got to wonder now with a a left-handed J.B. Schuck on deck. You know, do you walk him and load him up and then face Conger? The intentional fourth ball has been delivered. Because, you know, what that does, of course, is create the force at any base if you load the bases. But it also pressures Familia into having to throw strikes.
Yeah, and I don't like that option because Familia has been 2-0, 3-0 so often tonight. And obviously at that point, there are just no good answers. And it's funny that Schuck continues to be up in spots where he can make a difference. I mean, Trout really hasn't been up in very many difference-making spots tonight, but young J.B. Schuck just up from AAA once again as the wheel kind of spin and stop on his number.
Terry Collins and Bob Guerin are looking at the Angels lineup card and trying to guess along with whatever moves Mike Scioscia might have in mind. They are going to walk Shuck. Now, Conger, as we mentioned, is a switch hitter. And this is going to put a lot of pressure on Familia because they're going to load the bases. Again, it creates the force at any base. It gives you a chance, even on a ground ball with that infield up, to come home and try and get a double play. But again, there's no wiggle room for a guy who's not a consistent strike thrower.
Yeah, and Conger batting as a lefty, even though he doesn't have great speed, gets out of the box on that side quick enough where he can beat out a fielder's choice if he puts it in play. So, yeah, Familia, who's about to deliver ball 4 for what will be the 10th Met walk of the night. It's 10-0 in terms of walks in this game. He's being asked twice to go ahead and intentionally put baseballs off the plate. And now he's being asked to do exactly the opposite when everything's on the line.
Now let's see how the Mets play it defensively. David Wright is at the edge of the infield grass. They're going to take the middle infielders. Daniel Murphy is actually in virtually the same spot he normally would be, just in case there's a hard hit ground ball that way. They can take the chance on the 4-6-3 or 6-4-3 because Tejada is also back. So the infield is back at double play depth. The outfield is shallow. Hank Conger flied to right his first time. The game on the line, 4-4. We're in the 11th. Familia's first pitch, fastball in the dirt, ball 1. So even though the first two, or the most recent two, were intentional, that's still 9 balls in a row thrown out of the strike zone by Familia, who has no wiggle room here.
And again, is going further in a game than he ever has as a reliever.
The only options, lefty John Lannon, who frankly has been ineffective out of the Mets pen, and Jose Valverde. That's it. That's what's left in the bullpen. 1-0 to Conger. Ibanez, the winning run at third. Familia delivers. Low inside, ball 2. Now, Familia's follow through. He kind of lifted that back leg, and I don't know if that's just the way he naturally recoiled or if he might have stumbled in the slightest coming out of that delivery, but now he is in a huge pickle. He has got to throw a strike here. It's 2-0. Conger will sit dead red with that winning run at third. Bases loaded, 1 out, tie game in the 11th. 2-0 pitch down the middle, a fastball. He got it over. It's 2-1.
Conger looked eager to take all the way right there.
Again, the Mets are keeping the middle infielders back. David Wright, against the left-hand hitter, remember Conger's a switch hitter, batting left-handed here, is off the line. So there's a little room down that third base line for Conger. Ibanez at third, Kendrick at second, Shuck at first, 1 out, 4-4 in the 11th. 2-1 the count to Conger. Familia delivers, swinging a chopper foul, back to the screen. And it's 2-2 as Familia fights back from 2-0. The on-deck hitter, another switch hitter, Eric Ibar, who has a couple of hits in this game. So Familia's got a long way to go before getting this game to a potential 12th inning. The remnants of the paid crowd of 42,871, for the most part, on their feet. The outfield straight away. Ball has not been in play for a while with the last 2 intentional walks. 2-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Swinging a chopper up the first baseline, foul. Fielded neatly by Alfredo Griffin, the first base coach.
Now, of course, Familia's been a starter in the minors in the past and wants to show everybody that he can be that kind of a soldier, but he hasn't done this in a while. It's 50 pitches now for him tonight.
He needs several more at least to get through this. With 2 strikes now, the Mets are moving the infield up. All 4 of them up. Only Murphy is not at the edge of the infield grass. Davis in the cutoff. 2-2 pitch. He hit him, and the game is over. He came in with a fastball, hits Conger. That forces in the winning run from third. Ibanez scores, and the Angels win it in 11 innings, 5-4. Now they're chasing Hank Conger into the Angels dugout. All he did was get nailed by a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And Conger's the first one to hit the dugout steps as the Mets trudge off the field, losing in frustrating fashion on a hit batsman. In the 11th inning for the Angels, 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, 3 men left. the final score, the Los Angeles Angels 5, the New York Mets 4. Back to talk about it in a moment on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Hey, Mets fan.
Well, here in Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels have defeated the Mets 5-4. A hit batsman, Hank Conger. And that's how the game ended, with the bases loaded. Conger drilled in the side by a 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Jairus Familia. Maybe he was going on fumes. Either way, the Mets, who led this game early 1-0 and midway through 4-2, wind up losing the opener of this three-game series, Josh.
Well, and if you just hear somebody gets drilled by a pitch and the bench is clear, you'd think something else had happened. And sure enough, the Angels all charged onto the field after one of their guys got hit in the ribs, but they didn't go to the mound. They went to home plate to go get Hank Conger, who kind of made a serpentine away from all of his teammates. It turned into a Benny Hill sketch there at the end as he ran away from them and right down the dugout and into the clubhouse. The Mets end up taking a very tough loss as Conger takes one in the ribs. A 5-4 final tonight. The Angels stranded 17. The Mets stranded only 4. The 10 walks in the game were all given to the Angels. The Mets never did get one. They never did end up with a walk in this game.
And yet, you can now walk into a doctor on-premises medical care center inside select Duane Reads, treating common ailments, minor injuries, and providing routine screenings. Visit drwalkin.com for more information.
I'm glad you said that. 5 runs on 11 hits, no errors for the Angels. 4-10-0 for the exhausted Mets. And the losing pitcher, Jairus Familia, who hits Conger with that pitch, he's 0-2. The winner, Michael Kahn, is 1-0. Time of the game, every bit of 3 hours and 54 minutes in front of what started out as a crowd of 42,871. Mets will try to sleep it off. They've got John Neese on the mound tomorrow. Again, your final tonight/this morning. In 11 innings, it was the Angels 5 and the Mets 4.
New York Mets baseball is a production of 710 WOR in conjunction